15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Sneaky important game tonight in the NFL. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Got a lot of distractions going on. You got, college football. You got the World Series. We got trades going on in the NFL. But Perloff, here we are on a Thursday night where this game sort of sneaks up on you. You're like, Rams, Vikings. Oh, wait a minute. We just found out that Cooper Kupp is in trade talks. If they win this game tonight, does all that go away? The Rams could be right back in this thing.
Yeah, it's a huge game. So the Vikings are coming off a Lions game, and the Lions are the new Seahawks. After you play the Lions, you lose next week because they're so physical, and it's a short week, and they're going to L.A. Everything is setting up for the Rams to win this game. Now, the Rams have been in a lot of close games. They're obviously hurt. They're not a great team right now. Can we both agree on that?
No, but they weren't a great team at this point last year,
right,
as you've mentioned to me many times off the air.
So now they can win this game, then they'll have a head-to-head with the Seahawks, who are leading the division. They could be in the first place in 2 weeks, and they're going to trade their best receiver. It's very odd to me.
I think there's a possibility that if they lose this game, then they're thinking, all right, and again, this is not a division game. It's a conference game, but it's not a division game. So even if they lost it, would you still technically be in the hunt? A little bit harder at 2-5, but, not impossible. And I think you look around at the rest of the NFC West, we talk a lot about the 49ers. And by the way, what's going to go right for the 49ers? I mean, everything is going wrong for them. I guess the good news, Deebo Samuel out of the hospital.
That's your good news?
Yeah, that's the good news. I mean, it is good news. He had fluid in his lungs because of a case of pneumonia. If are things going to break right for the 49ers? Might not. Seattle being in first place in this division, but how tight of a grip do they have on it? And actually, the only team that's undefeated in division play is the Cardinals at 2-0. And who thinks that they're going to be a great team?
Yeah, they've been very inconsistent.
This is ripe for the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams have their offensive line has been hurt all year, coming back to full strength within a couple weeks. Puka Nacua practice window opened.
Yep.
So we'll see him soon. Feels like they have a great chance to make the playoffs. So let me ask you the next question. Do they think they can make the playoffs without Cooper Kupp? Because that's the vibe I'm getting. I think they think, you know what, he's been great, but he's older. We can't trust him. Let's just throw to Puka Nacua. Yeah. And see if we could do just like last year, because Kupp was not part of that playoff run for the most part.
Yeah, I think that Nakua's got a practice window that's open. It's 21 days, so that's not tomorrow that he'd be coming back. But clearly they're putting him out there to see if they can get a second-round pick. And if we're playing, chess here, not checkers, if I were to guess, why do they feel like they want a second-round pick for next year? It's probably to make some kind of a move for a quarterback. You're most likely not going to be in the top 5. And Matthew Stafford, whether this is the last year or next year is the last year, better to get a rookie in the building, in my opinion. Let's extend this thing out. Let's do the smart thing, have the guy in waiting, have him mentor the guy, and do a little what you hope will be like an Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes type deal.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I would not do that unless you really. Matthew Stafford's 36.
Yeah.
So what's 36?
They all can't play till 40.
That's a baby in the NFL. No, now they can. He's basically a newcomer to the NFL compared to what's going on right now. Aaron Rodgers is about to turn 41, and he doesn't seem like he's anywhere near retiring.
And how's that going?
Well, fair point. But generally, I don't know. 36. Stafford's a tough dude. Every time you count him out, he comes back.
Maybe he ends up playing for the Cowboys, as you've always predicted.
Who are they going to take? They're going to get a quarterback at 15 and have him sit behind Stafford. No, because Dak is signed there forever. No, basically, I think Lesney, the GM of the Rams, thinks that he's on fire in the draft, and he is. He's hit.
With low picks.
With low picks, and then he hit with Jared Verse this year.
That's true.
He's hit with second rounders. I think he's hit all over the place right now. So I think he thinks he can build this great team. I think he still envisions Stafford there, but we'll see. There's this crazy Stafford to the Vikings rumor that is totally unverified by any national journalist. I'm not even. I just, of course, brought it up. As we should not
it's okay. We kind of touched on it yesterday. We weren't really sure who this person was, and obviously the team has come out and debunked it.
Yeah, and we haven't heard anything from the Adam Schefters and Diana Rossinis of the world. So, regardless, though, I think the Rams are going to have like the 15 pick and be a really good team next year, with or without Cooper Kupp. Because Nakua, they'll have this year. They have. All of a sudden, Jared Verse and Braden Fisk are dominating on the defensive line. They could be this really good young team. So the future is bright, but it doesn't make sense to me, really, if it's a fourth-round pick for Cooper Kupp, which is a reality that could happen with his injury status, then why are you getting rid of him? You might as well run it out to the playoffs. That's my point. I would not trade him. I'm not taking a mid-round pick for a guy who could be a factor this year because, the NFL is it's a league that moves quickly. Why would you sort of give up on this?
Yeah, I guess we're talking about tonight's NFL game. Got a good one in Rams-Vikings. Don't let the Rams record totally fool you here. They actually still have some talent. I guess the question is, what do they know really about Cooper Kupp's injury? And I'm not trying to say they're going to oopsie-doop another team into taking some, damaged goods, but maybe. I mean, you throw it out there, maybe you do get somebody to bite. Maybe you do get somebody who is really desperate. We're watching wide receivers crisscross the country in some of these trades. You might throw it out there and think, listen, this guy's really not going to be able to help us anyway in the future. Might as well try to get off his contract. And yeah, they're not going to get a second-round pick. That's what they asked for. They might get a fourth that becomes a third if he's on a, if they make it to whoever gets traded to makes it to the Super Bowl or championship game or something like that with an escalator. I kind of like it for the Rams, and I do think they are going to be in the quarterback market next year. You can mark that down. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they're out of it. I really don't. Not with this division. If the 49ers were, again, if this was last year's 49ers, where they're running away with it, where they're dominant, where the only time they're losing games is when key people are out, as opposed to now when so many guys are out, as opposed to like when Trent Williams had to miss a couple games, when Debo had to miss a couple games. They were so good last year. The 49ers are not that team right now. If I'm the Rams, I am laying in wait and just waiting to pounce.
What if Cooper Kupp plays tonight and kills it? Are you really, because I like everything you said, makes a lot of sense, but are you going to really have the cojones to get up here and say, if he has 100 yards, trade that guy? When you're 3-4 and looking at the West title, that takes a lot of guts to trade. If he looks good tonight, right. It's going to be strange. You don't trade when you're in the middle of a playoff hunt, trading your best receiver, a former Super Bowl MVP, a former MVP candidate. That just doesn't ring true to me because they're not a sell team. So why are you selling this particular guy?
Yeah, maybe they pull him off the trade block if he ends up having this great
Is it
season.
A tryout tonight?
Yeah, but here's the other part. If any team could pull this off, don't you think it's McVay and Les Snead? I mean, first of all, you're not going to be getting outrage from the fan base. I know George in LA calls our show all the time to talk about the Rams, but he's kind of like, I don't see the Rams outrage, You're not going to have like people with pitchforks at the gate being like, how dare you? Well, we're going to do a fan boycott or something like that. Rams fans, the ones that they have, are great fans, don't get me wrong, but I don't think you are going to see this uprising, uproar, outrage. I think people trust them. Whether that's fair or not, I think the fans trust, hey, they know more than we know, which is always true of every team, and they're going to do what's right. I think they have that kind of trust. And the NFL, listen, how many people, genius, McVay, genius, this genius offense, I think that he gets like a lot of credit and credibility, and I don't think people would question if they traded Kupp.
I just think you're probably right, but I just think they're human. Like if they're 3-4, it just feels so odd to all of a sudden make this massive move that a losing team would do.
Do you think that McVay has signed off on a potential Cooper Kupp trade, or do you think he got blindsided?
Yeah, I think McVay has to be.
Exactly.
They seem to be partners, Les Snead and McVay. Meanwhile, our friend Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports, keeps saying, watch out for a quarterback injury, and they'll trade Stafford along with Kupp. That seems impossible to me, too. This is trade speculation. Listen, every other trade where wide receivers are already happening. Like veteran receivers are flying around like crazy right now.
That's true.
So it probably will happen. But look at the teams that traded them. Amari Cooper was on a Browns team that's going nowhere. Devontae Adams was on a Raiders team that is going backwards.
Yeah.
Whoever the other trades. I guess that's it so far.
DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins, right. The Titans are terrible. The Rams are not that team. That's why I find this so odd. I mean, you're right. It definitely could happen, but it just is so strange. It's such a different situation than all those other situations.
855-212-4227. EJ, you look like you have a thought on this.
A lot of thoughts listening to you guys. On the Stafford thing, I get Pearl saying that, look, older quarterbacks have had some success. Like I said yesterday, I just feel like this guy would worry me because of his health.
Oh, my gosh. He's had a spine issue, back stuff. He
played hurt last year.
I mean this as no disrespect. Stafford, Perloff, you're right. He is going to the Hall of Fame, but that guy's not playing until 40.
No, I don't think so.
We can say how tough he is and give him, but he's not playing until 40.
That's the guy, whoever we say is not playing till 40, that's the guy that always plays till 43.
Then he shouldn't play till 40.
I just think that it's hard to predict. Why not? It's not that hard. Just get back there, fling it around. He doesn't move. He hasn't moved in years.
That's the problem.
Doesn't mean he's not getting hit.
That's the problem. That he's not a mobile quarterback, so he stands in the pocket and he's got a cannon for an arm, but he's going to take all the punishment. And he missed some games during his last few years in Detroit. He missed a lot of games. 2 years ago in L.A., he missed one game last year and basically played through injury. I think the wear and tear on Stafford is going to start to pile on, and I don't know if at 39 he's a great quarterback anymore. So I would be very scared to trade for him and for any long-term solution. And I think you're a little high on the Rams. This is a 2-4 team. They barely beat the Raiders last week. I don't see this team that can go on this great run with Stafford and Kupp until this year.
But if they have to sneak away with a win tonight.
Yeah, and are they favorite tonight?
I just
no, they're a 3-point underdog to the Vikings who are coming in, but the Rams are 2-1 at home. It's just been the road games that have been the bugaboo. They're 0-3, and they're 1-1 in the division. This is how it sets up. Seattle's 0-1 in the division. Arizona's 2-0. The 49ers are 1-2, and the Rams are 1-1. If we're just looking at the division, they're not off.
I know. I just feel like you look at their season, I feel like their best win was a loss. I think their first game against the Lions was the best game they've played. The Raiders game last week was a slop fest. The Niners game, the Niners kind of gave away the game. I feel like if you want to see 60 minutes of decent football, that's the only game you have, and that's week 1. I think this Rams team might be a 5-6 team. I don't know if they're that good.
So
which is why they're trying to sell these guys off.
I was going to say, that bolsters my point, which is they want the extra second-round pick because they're going for a quarterback next year. You got Stafford, you have Jimmy G behind him, and then Stetson Bennett. This is that's not inspiring behind Matthew Stafford.
Jimmy G, he'd light it up in Sean McVay's offense. I'm not kidding. He'd be
until he
a
gets
great
hurt.
backup. You definitely could be right. But that being said, everything you said, they're getting much healthier. They've been decimated. They're getting Avila and Jackson back on the front line, and then Puka Nacua is coming back. So I just think it's hard to judge them what we've seen the last 3 weeks because they've been hurt. And Kupp's always hurt. So I understand why they're moving on. I think the part is that EJ is he made a preseason prediction that we underestimated the Vikings, which he was dead right about.
You were right about that.
I think you're secretly thinking the Vikings are going to win this game tonight and put the Rams season to rest.
I just feel like if the Vikings are who they think they are, there's no excuse to lose this game. I mean, the West Coast, they are a better team than the Rams. We don't have Puka Nacua, so he's not playing still. I know he's practicing, but he's not playing. Kupp thinks he may get traded. The Rams are an extremely young team. The Vikings have a veteran defense that's been smoking everybody. To me, if Darnold doesn't throw the game away, there's no reason they shouldn't win this game.
It's interesting. I feel like Vikings are a team that America doesn't believe in despite their record.
Well, the record's only going to get better because if they do win this game in L.A., then next week is Indy, which...
Ooh, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
at Jacksonville, at Tennessee.
Yeah, I don't know.
At Chicago. Those are very winnable games. They're going to be favored in those games.
They're going to be favored in those games, but Minnesota hasn't. None of those are guarantees. Chicago, that's going to be like a 1916 game. You don't think Eberflus is going to get after the Vikings?
I also think that Brian Flores against a rookie quarterback. So, the division games are a little tougher to predict, but Indianapolis, I got to see a lot more. At Jacksonville, who knows? I mean, Doug Peterson was one, they lost. If they lost that game to the Patriots, he's still in London. He's visiting the Eiffel Tower or the Tower of London today. And then, Tennessee. The Vikings record's going to be gaudy. There's lots of wins here.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I just think the Vikings have sort of seemed like a little thin. Like some of the wins.
I mean, they just went toe-to-toe with Detroit. It's not that game was by no means a blowout. They basically had it.
They pounded Houston and San Francisco.
That's true.
Pounded them.
Early games, but yeah.
I mean, they probably, honestly, if Aaron Rodgers could get that ball out in space against Mike Williams, they might have lost to the Jets in London. I just think for some reason, did you say they pounded Green Bay? Green Bay came back at the end, and
That's
Jordan Love was
Houston.
limping
Yeah,
half the game.
San Francisco and Houston.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were up by 27 against Green Bay. They prevent defense brought the Packers back.
Yeah, no, I know. But still, the Packers had every chance in the world in that game. They've been let's face it, their margin of victory has been thin. And yeah, I don't
It
I'm
sounds
not
like
sure.
you believe more in the Rams' potential than the Vikings' potential.
No, I think the Vikings are going to make the playoffs because 5-1, like all the odds are. But I think the Vikings are much more similar to the 13-4 Vikings from 2 years ago. I really feel like that's who they are.
855-212-4227. Well, I mean, again, I get called the Darnold hater around here, but that would only be because of Darnold, right? Because the defense looks great.
No, the defense
And the offense is very good. They got they have made the best receiver in football in Justin Jefferson.
The defense is great against certain teams, but they just got completely torched by the Lions.
Yeah, but
That happened
divisional game,
last
the
year with-
Lions might be the best team in football.
Yeah, but that happened last year where Flores would just dominate one game defensively. Then the next game, someone would figure out his blitz and they would let up a lot of points. I just think they're not that different than the same Vikings team we've seen the last couple of years. Are they so much better? Have they figured out everything? I'll probably live to regret this. I think they're the third best team in that division.
855-212-4227. So yeah, as I said, this game kind of snuck up on us.
This is a big one.
This is a fun one.
This could affect a lot of things moving forward.
Can Al Michaels get a nap today?
He's on the West
And
Coast,
Kirk?
so he should be on very good rest.
You're right. This is a home game for him.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for Kirk to tell me what this guy did as a sophomore at Washington State, because that's what Kirk has to add.
Before he transferred 3 times. 855-212-4227. Yes, we get a fun one tonight. We also have so much on the table for you today. Lots of football, lots of NFL and college. We got some fun baseball for you as well. It's all happening. 855-212-4227. Do you still believe the Rams could make a run? And on the flip side, the Vikings, are you still not sold? I know they're coming off a loss, 31-29. I mean, that was whoever had the ball last, whoever's kicker was going to make a field goal. But fun stuff. 855-212-4227. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. So we just basically provided 10 reasons to watch this stupid Rams-Vikings game on Amazon. And I say stupid because it is Thursday Night Football. It'll probably disappoint quality-wise because it's been another dud year for Thursday Night Football. But, man, this is a huge game tonight. Last night, of course, NBA made its big debut, and it was a laughingstock is the nice way to put it, I think.
Well, I think you're particularly miffed about the biggest storyline basically from the first night was not that the Clippers are in a new arena, which is supposedly Shangri-La.
Yeah, they lost.
Well, they did, but it's the Clippers, so
I know.
Of course they did. But I, who I could care less about arenas, I'm not really impressed with that kind of stuff. But apparently this is the Taj Mahal, not just of toilets. Yeah. Like there's supposedly one of the great arenas. So I guess kudos to them. It's your 76ers who are under investigation. This is why you're all
well, it's multiple
cranky
things.
about it.
It's multiple things.
Yeah.
It's the fact that the Sixers have the audacity to load manage for the opening night of the season. That is a new low for a league that's been suffering with load management for 10 years. It's the fact that...
And it's not even like an acute injury. If it'd been like, oh, he turned an ankle in practice, they're like, no, we're just going to load manage. Like, You just had the offseason.
I know. We'll get into that later. There's also the fact that Zion Williamson, the one single must-watch player in the NBA, was out, and everybody on ESPN and NBA TV is like, oh, man. I heard "oh, man" about 100 times. He's the only player that anybody wants to watch, in my opinion.
Ja Morant, too.
Third, Ja Morant is distant second. Zion is the truth, and you're not into the Zion train as much as I am because you know he's only going to play 36 games.
Yeah, because it never leaves the station.
Yeah. And then third of all, it was a reminder last night that this season is 43 games too long. And as much as Silver tries to make the in-season tournament so it feels like there's more urgency. You can't watch with seriousness knowing that teams are thinking about the long haul across the league. I was very frustrated with the NBA last night, and I had to get it out. I just think the league made all these huge TV deals, and then last night put out an embarrassing product.
You're right that to be load managing in the first game of the season, especially when it's a home game.
And it's a number one game on ESPN, so you had to watch this sort of G League Sixers team go against the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool night for Dame Lillard, so that looks like it could be fun. We got to get the spin doctor back in the house.
Oh,
By the way, I totally
Doc Rivers. All of his spinning his weird stories into these odd positives. He's the biggest liar since LeBron. But anyway.
By the way, that Dave Lillard thing, I was so sick. I'm like, oh, yes, Dame is back. So that's good, too.
The one thing about the 76ers, and I hate to bring up a sore spot here because this is not something I generally associate with Philadelphia sports, but you guys did have an issue last year with opposing teams coming in and taking over your arena. And I think the
Sixers did?
Yeah, the Knicks fans did in the playoffs, and it sounded like a Knicks home game on TV. And that was embarrassing, I thought. And it's only going to get worse this year because Embiid has already said he's not playing back-to-backs, and they're going to do the load management thing so much to the point that the league's going to launch an investigation, according to Shams Charania. And what do you think the games he's going to sit out are? Because they've made it abundantly clear, Perloff, if you're going to load manage, it can't be for the road games. They want, if you're only going to be in, LA once as the road team, they want you playing in that game. So it's going to be the home 76er fans who are going to suffer.
Wait. No, they don't care at all about the load management rules. They're going to sit in whatever they want.
Okay, so your attendance is going to dip.
Well, actually, you say that,
why would you come and watch if Embiid's not going to play? And by the way, Paul George is hurt already, too.
The narrative of these Embiid Sixers is that they are great at home and stink on the road. That's like they've never been able to win on the road. So last year they were okay on the road, but generally, if you want to see a Sixers win, you better watch it at home because they're a way worse team on the road.
I'm just asking your home court advantage.
Yeah, I think they still have. I don't think so necessarily because I think you watch this team, they'll be way better at home. They're just not a great road team.
But in the playoffs, I'm saying
they're going to lose the playoffs one way or the other because Embiid's going to be hurt. I don't care how much they load manage.
Yeah,
I mean there is. Let's be realistic. Like, what about that team says they're going to get it? They have a 35-year-old Paul George and always hurt Joel Embiid. I know you took a flyer and said that they might go all the way. You already regret it. Yeah, I think Sixers fans are so cynical. But this is not a Sixers issue because I think other teams are going to follow suit because the NBA is not going to be able to touch the Sixers on this. And then every other team is going to start to sit their stars and just flaunt this rule. And you're going to have these ESPN games without stars all year long.
You're right. And you want to know what happened here. And this is where the fans always get the old screw job, which is the NBA signed their big media deal. Yeah. They've got everybody in. They've got the billions of dollars signed off on. And I don't think they care as much anymore about the load management. It was all about getting that rights deal. I know this is not the sexiest topic, but that's where the money really comes from. And they got it. And they got more, I think, than anyone believed they were going to get. They're back on NBC now. Pete Pilati gets his round ball rock. Everybody's happy. And I don't think they care about load management as an issue anymore because they got paid.
Well, even if they did care, I don't know if there's anything they could do about it because there's not going to be a penalty that's harsh enough that'll be worth it for the team. I mean, the teams are trying to win. Like, I will give them, they are trying to load manage Embiid so he's healthier at the end of the season. That's a competitive issue, but it does make the product boring.
If you want to participate in the show, you can call us, of course, at 855-212-4227. I highly recommend our chat, though. YouTube.com/Infinity Sports Network. Daily is in the chat. Says NBA currently going through Embiid's medical records and grocery bills. Zing.
Yeah, there's...
Check the drive-through.
I mean, there are questions about his weight. Is that the answer?
I mean, who was more worried about that McDonald's E. coli story than Joel Embiid? Apparently, he likes fast food.
Yeah, now that there was a report that he lost weight, then there's some contention about that. I mean, I saw him in practice the other day, of course, fully running around like he's totally healthy. And he looked okay. He looked fine.
It's weird. We had heard he lost weight. I'm making all the vitamin O Ozempic jokes, and then he gained the weight back. I mean, that's the most relatable thing about him is his yo-yo weight.
That's the one thing about this why I pause and wonder if this is more a Sixer issue than an NBA issue. He might be hurt, or he might have gotten hurt again.
And they're lying to us?
Yeah, because there's just no reason to load manage the first game of the season. There's none.
He's playing PlayStation? How did he get hurt?
Right, there's no reason to do that. So I don't think this was we're just going to save him. I think he's hurt. I think he's hurt.
Know.
I think because how do you lose weight? You don't have the weight back. You're getting ready you're ramping up for the season. The ramp up is fine, but he can't play. It doesn't make any sense.
It's weird. 855-212-4227. And good luck getting a straight answer. Especially when it comes to the Sixers and Embiid.
Trust me,
they
that
are
media
so weird.
That media is trying. I've seen those clips, and there's at one point he was just like, I don't know what to tell you guys.
That's the issue. That is the biggest issue, and that's the issue for the entire NBA. Like, they got to be very clear on these injuries. And the Sixers are not. They're being defiant. And there is a lot of practice footage of Joel Embiid running around in jump shots. So if he's hurt, I don't think he had a preseason, so they do want to ramp him up. But this is bad. It's bad for the whole league.
855-212-4227. We mentioned tonight, sneaky good game, Vikings-Rams in L.A. Neil's in Wisconsin has a thought for Perloff. Hey, Neil.
Hey, how's it going?
We're great.
Good. Hey, well, what I was really thinking was, the Vikings, lost 3 games in a row last year to end the season. They were injured. And now this year, I know preseason doesn't really count, but, they essentially won 8 games in a row. Now they lost 1 to a super tough team. And, they were, going to be the worst team in the division anyway. So I guess third best isn't so bad anymore.
Well, third best is what? Your 11 wins.
Honestly,
Neil, in reality, you're in Wisconsin. I have Detroit as the best team in the NFC and Green Bay as the second best team in the NFC. And I think a lot of people do.
I didn't even necessarily believe that about Green Bay before the season, but I'm not saying they're bad. I just don't know that the Vikings are necessarily behind them. But
wait, Neil, are you a Viking fan living in Wisconsin?
Oh yeah, it's sacrilege, but I'm only 20 minutes outside of Minnesota.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say. I'm like, that must be tough nights.
Yeah. I have a good buddy who's from Wisconsin who's a Vikings fan. So is that an insult to say they're the third best team in the NFC North? Did you take that personally?
No, it's not even that. It's just that they beat some good teams. They've already played the hardest part of their schedule. Unless they start getting injured or just throw games away, they should be able to win a decent amount more. I was just saying they were picked 4th into the division anyway.
Yeah, and they're clearly overachieving. Neil, thank you for that. And also, not just Vikings, Badgers have turned it around lately. Has anyone noticed that? Meanwhile, last part of the season for the Vikings, though, Chicago, December 16th, at Seattle, Green Bay, at Detroit. That's not an easy ending. Okay, Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines for us on everything that happened yesterday. What's up, dude?
Guys, good morning. These headlines are sponsored by Prize Picks. Football season's here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Download Prize Picks, use code M&P, and get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. Must be present in certain states where it's lawful to wager. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. The Clippers are off to a great start in their new home.
Derrick Jones Jr. holds above his head, looking to inbound, still looking, finally gets it off the fingertips of Harden. It's a steal for Grayson Allen, and the Suns win in overtime. 116-113, the final score at Intuit Dome as the Clippers fall in their debut in this brand new building.
Whoops, John Bloom on Suns radio. James Harden unable to catch that last inbounds pass, sealing again a 116-113 loss in their first game at Intuit Dome. Before Harden's turnover, L.A. blew 99-90 and 103-101 leads in regulation. Kevin Durant forcing OT with a hoop with 15 seconds left. He scored 25-24 for Bradley Beal in the win. The Warriors crushed the Blazers in Portland 139-104. Steph Curry, 17 points, 10 assists before taking the fourth quarter off. The Cavs rolled through Toronto 136-106, and the Pelicans dropped the Bulls in their opener 123-111, but New Orleans loses DeJounte Murray to a broken left hand. We are just shy of 24 hours since the first report of the DeAndre Hopkins trade came out. The Chiefs-Titans swap is still not official, so Andy Reid told reporters yesterday to direct all questions to GM Brett Veach.
Veach is dealing with all that, so I'm hush on that. Yeah.
Hopkins is not here and he will not be practicing today. Is that right?
I know nothing.
Leave me alone. Give
so
me
does that mean?
cheeseburger.
What does that mean for when he's going to play? I'm asking you, Bogusch,
Yeah,
if you know.
I guess he could still show up today and practice today and tomorrow and run some routes on Sunday, like be told what to do in the huddle in the moment. I mean, that seems easy-ish.
Yeah, they're at the Raiders this weekend.
Right.
I mean, DeAndre Hopkins doesn't practice anyway.
Good point. I don't think they need him against the Raiders. I think that is one reason they can sort of ease him into this.
I think they really want to really pound the Raiders, though. They've got like some leftover. First of all, it's a great rivalry, but it's some baggage from last year, right? Raiders beat them, and then that was their wake-up call.
Yeah, remember?
The Jordan rules. Remember Antonio Pierce? Why would you call out the Chiefs?
The players were making fun of his Pat Mahomes' Kermit the Frog. Remember they had the Kermit the Frog puppet at practice during training camp?
Do you remember that now?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with these two.
Yeah, but do they need DeAndre Hopkins?
No.
This version of the Raiders are really in trouble. That being said,
which makes their smack talking more like crazy.
Real question: can this Chiefs offense blow out anyone?
Well, if they had DeAndre Hopkins, maybe they got a better shot.
We're going to find out this week.
Feels like Andre Reed wants to hand that ball off. I mean, sorry, Andy Reid, not Andre Reed. It's like a Bills fan. He wants to hand the ball off more than any coach in the league right now. He is pounding the rock. I can't see them scoring 40 on anyone. We'll see. And Antonio Pierce gets that defense up. I'll bet you it's a low-scoring game. There, you heard it. Yeah, Bogish.
The Titans made another trade yesterday, sending linebacker Ernest Jones to Seattle. Second time Jones has been traded this season, coming over from the Rams to Nashville back in August. Bryce Young is the Panthers' starting QB again, at least for this week. Andy Dalton sprained his throwing thumb in a minor car crash earlier this week, so Young gets the nod against the Broncos. Dalton might serve as his backup. Have you talked to Andy this week post-crash?
No, I don't actually. Like, Andy and I are, I'm very friendly whenever I see him at the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not like a text Andy, hey, how you doing? And this one was, but it sounded really scary. All the kids were in the car, and the dog was in the car, and his wife was in the car. I haven't seen the details. I know he's fine, but he did apparently jam his thumb. That's crazy. I'm just picturing this minivan and chaos with a dog and 3 kids.
Think Andy Dalton drives a minivan?
I assumed, I don't know, yeah, definitely.
Something logical, something economical.
It's either an SUV.
No, he's driving a massive SUV.
Okay, Matthew SUV.
Well,
but
maybe on his way to the facility, but like if they're going to food shopping and they're having their Disney sing-along in the car, it might be in a minivan adjacent vehicle.
I don't know if, Kirk Cousins famously drove a minivan. I don't think Andy Dalton's too far off that energy.
Okay. No, you're right. And I know there are fancy minivans out there. I'm not anti-minivan. I grew up riding around in one.
That sliding door is a huge help to loading and getting kids in and out.
How about today? Everyone's got it so easy. That thing is automatic.
Yeah.
Remember back in our day where you had to actually get out and slam that thing shut?
Well, except that when you get in an Uber and you don't know if it's automatic or not, and there's always that weird communication with the driver who gets mad.
Yeah.
I hate that.
The worst one is when the trunk's going up and down automatically now.
Oh, yeah.
My computer just died, but I was about to get Andy Dalton's career earnings to just see how
it's a lot.
How amazing of a minivan this dude could have. Maybe he does a little bit more like Phillip Rivers, who had like a bus.
Okay, I think I'm vamp for a second. I have pictures of the car that hit him at the accident. They're on Instagram.
By the way, his $110 million career earnings.
A fleet of minivans.
You're right, but where I think he lives in Fort Worth. Like, you're required to have a massive, massive SUV. I'm sure he does drive that, but that's kind of like a minivan. That being said, you guys have been in a car with a dog and 3 kids.
Oh, it's
tough. It's really scary. I'm so glad that nothing worse happened.
Oh, yeah. And obviously, we're only kidding around about it because everyone's okay. But yeah, no, it's scary. And I think kids remember too. I don't know how old his kids are, but that could become like a core memory with a scary situation like that.
And the other thing too is I think they kind of wanted to get Bryce Young out there again too, because what are you doing with him? If you want to trade him or anything, like, you got to play him a little bit. That team is so bad. There's not a single, I was talking about it, there's not a single defensive rep that works for them. Every single play is a 9-yard gain against the Carolina Panthers. They're the worst team in the league. So why not go Bryce Young?
They just have no choice but to just keep Canals for next year, right? You can't.
You got to give him
one
a
and done
chance
again.
Yeah, you got to give him a real chance, right?
I can't imagine that they are blaming him for this. They know what that roster is.
Have you met that owner? He threw a drink on a fan.
Yeah, but
this guy's unhinged.
It's so funny. Like, I think you have 2 coaches who are in awful situations. One is going to get fired, Gerard Mayo in New England. The other, Dave Canales, is totally going to get a pass. At least that's a narrative I'm hearing.
You think Gerard Mayo's getting fired after this year?
There was hot rumors that he might get fired this week.
Wait, so I know Bill Simmons put this clip around on social media where, because I didn't see it, but Robert Kraft doing an interview with Taylor Rooks before one of their Thursday night games, where he says, I learned 5 years ago that Gerard Mayo was going to be the next coach. You're going to give up on him after 1 year when you have a rookie quarterback and all those changes? No
I
way.
think it was our guy, Kirk Minahan, said that Mayo's in real trouble.
He's not my guy.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of negative talk about Mayo. It doesn't help that Bill Belichick's out there tearing him apart in the media, too.
No. It's like, it's all the same players I had last year. I don't know why they're soft now.
Like, you went 4-3, 13 last year, Bill Belichick. They were terrible last year, too.
But it's pretty amazing that Gerard picked up nothing from Bill about the media because he just keeps saying things and then has to apologize or walk them back almost weekly, which I think is now the number one thing. Is he embarrasses himself and them almost every time he talks with the soft comment and then, oh, no, we're playing soft.
Yeah.
They're not soft. He every week was a different story about Drake May and Jacoby Brissett at the beginning of the year. He's a mess on the microphone.
Yeah.
He's trying so hard to not be Bill Belichick because all those other guys that have failed have tried to just be a Bill Belichick clone that now I don't think he even is being himself. I think he's being inauthentic still. But he's just like, I'm just going to be anything that's not Bill Belichick. So, Bill Belichick said nothing? I'm just going to say everything.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I shouldn't have said that. Let me take that back.
And by the way, he's going to have this, he's having the same outcome as every other Belichick assistant, which is not good. Not Bill.
Good at all.
College football, unbeaten Liberty stunned at Kennesaw State last night, 27-24. Those Owls were 27.5-point underdogs. This is their first win as an FBS member, and it all but eliminates Liberty from consideration for that group of 5 spot in the college football playoff. And because they'll spend another year as the Pac-2, Oregon State and Washington State football will play twice next season, meaning one less opponent that they have to look for.
You're kidding.
I am
You're
not.
making that up.
Nope. They're going to play a home and home in November.
It's like a movie.
Yeah.
Listen, we have talked about how college football is going to become more like the NFL. You know, eventually 2 conferences playing for some kind of Super Bowl. They're on the road to it here. The Tupac's ahead of the game.
It would be funny if they just played each other just for like 8 games.
Over and over again?
Yeah. Like a weird series.
How would you bet that?
Yeah, just the usual 4 non-conference games, and they just keep playing each other only in league play.
Yeah, and then like your record, Washington State, hey, we're 6-1 in the conference. Well, when you beat Oregon State 6 times, what does that do for you?
How about if one team wins like 3 in a row, they actually have to switch quarterbacks? Like,
just to mix things
you
up.
just mix it up like you're playing Thanksgiving with your family.
But the funny other thing is it could go the opposite direction where the SEC and the Big Ten and the Big 12 all have 39 teams in it. And like you won't see a conference. You won't play some of the teams for 4 years or
that's
something.
true, right.
Like I don't know how they're going to – the whole thing is bizarre. But, yeah, the Pac-2, I kind of like it. I think that they should keep it this way forever. And those
They get
2
a
teams
media
fit
deal?
perfectly. Like they've never been like real contenders, right? Has there ever been a year where either of them were top 5?
Oh, Ryan was at Washington State.
They
He was
went to the
balling.
Rose Bowl once
Yeah.
with Ryan Leaf.
Yeah.
But it's just funny, like if they got a media rights deal, it wouldn't be like Amazon or ESPN. It's like Bill's Insurance.
It's the CW. That's where they're on now. It already is laughable.
No, you're kidding.
Are you awake? Yeah, they're on the CW.
The CW?
Yes.
Yeah, they
This
are.
is Bogus. You made
CW's
this
got
whole
some-
narrative up. This can't all be true.
It's all true. You
Bill
can watch like
Belichick's on the CW breaking down games, by the way.
apparently the CW's a hot place to be, but yeah. Pac-12, baby.
Every time Perloff tunes in, it still just reruns of Charmed.
No, that's TNT. Isn't it?
I thought it was CW.
But those are
also.
the shows that are on there, like One Tree Hill,
Oh,
Dawson's Creek. Those
Gilmore
are
Girls,
all
yeah.
on those channels.
Well, I
all
know
Warner,
because
so
every
they'll
time we come in the morning, we had NBA on the night before and Charmed. I've seen more episodes of Charmed on mute in our, working on this show
And
than
you see
any
the
show.
Lakers. Yeah.
Seen them all, never heard one.
No idea what any of those people sound like.
Nope.
Be funny. It's like, oh, they all have British accents. Who knew?
I'm done. You guys have it back.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Coming up, we have an injury report we have to get to, and we'll do it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Letting somebody else take the mic. Welcome back, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. You know, we've been hearing all week, Pearl, about how the Jets aren't having any fun and how They're playing tight on game days. Well, maybe they need to hear a message from a different messenger. Now, Aaron Rodgers ain't it. Apparently that message isn't getting through. So how about Davante Adams, the newest member of the New York Jets? This is yesterday. He said he felt the need to give what people are calling a very fiery, very honest a very honest, a very fiery speech after the loss to the Steelers.
I just took a moment to let them know, like, I had reservations about speaking up too early and being too vocal too early, but I felt like, in my mind I said F that because I need to, we don't have time, and I got to do whatever I got to do to help this team move forward.
Yeah, more from Adams. He says the Jets were not having any fun on Sunday.
It wasn't necessarily that guys weren't playing hard, but we weren't out there celebrating together. We weren't playing, didn't feel like a whole lot of fun was being had. I have fun every time I step out on the field. It's a mindset you got to have. You got to make up your mind before you get out of bed, playing this game. And I just didn't feel like it was all the way there.
And a lack of urgency as well.
You only get 17 games. We can talk like that's a lot of games or not, but I also said to him, this ain't baseball. We got a few opportunities to come out here, show what we work on, all the crazy blood, sweat, and tears we put into this, and to have only 17 options to come out flat like that and essentially give away a game, that's unacceptable.
All right, so maybe Davante Adams, Perloff, maybe the team just needs to hear it from someone else, not Aaron Rodgers all the time.
I've never understood two rants less than Rodgers and now Adams saying the team came out flat. Like, was I watching a different game? The Jets came out and were destroying the Steelers. They were owning the Steelers. They were up 15-6 and should have jumped out to a huge lead. Why does he keep saying they came out flat? Basically, the ball bounced off Garrett Wilson and gave almost a pick six to the Steelers, and then they just gave up in the third quarter. They came out with tons of energy, and then in the fourth quarter got deflated after a bad pick. Like, what? Why did they keep saying they came out flat?
I mean, listen, they're on the sideline. They know more than anybody.
But then how did they jump out to a big lead?
Maybe they don't equate scoring with being flat. I don't know, because they're talking about guys weren't celebrating with each other. Guys weren't, like, vibing. I think they're talking about more than, I guess, how they – I don't know.
Or maybe Rodgers and Adams are full of crap and, like, this whole narrative is nuts. And maybe if Rodgers could move 3 feet to his left, then maybe they – win that game. I don't know. This come out flat. It seems like, first of all, Rodgers, I thought, did not play a great second half. And I thought that, that the interceptions, the 2 interceptions killed them. That was the story of the game, not energy. I don't get any of this.
Well, you want to know what it is. And again, maybe Adams has a way of getting through to guys a little bit more. It's more finger pointing. And even when Rodgers will do the cursory, hey, and I got to play better too, and I got to be better too. I don't think the rest of the team believes that. And maybe the vibes are off because maybe the team didn't think their head coach should be fired. Not that you can ever really, listen, NFL is crazy. It's a business. You got to be ready for that stuff. But maybe this is a team with young guys and they weren't expecting that. Maybe they're thrown off a little bit. Maybe they don't like the fact that Rodgers will call them out at any moment.
That all sounds wishy-washy and emotional. Like, honestly, Rodgers threw that pick, the first pick. The Jets were going to win this game. I'm sure they were going to win this game. And he threw into traffic, and the entire game flow changed. And then the Garrett Wilson pick, that's on Wilson. There's just 2 plays. I don't think this was an energy thing. I don't know why these guys are giving these speeches. Like, Aaron Rodgers, go out there and execute. Do not. And that's so unlike Rodgers. That pick was so bad, the first one. Like, why did you throw that ball? It's like you didn't want to win the game. I don't know.
Well, I mean, forcing it, right?
He's forcing it, and because I just don't think he's really comfortable yet. I think it's him.
EJ, a Davante Adams fiery speech?
No, I like it. I think that in some ways a different voice probably is needed. And there's nothing, they've tried everything at this point, so there's nothing that is off the table. I get Perloff's point that they were winning the game, so why did they come out flat? I felt like the defense, even though the Steelers weren't moving the ball, really wasn't doing anything. Like, it felt like Russell Wilson was just spiking the ball into the ground the first 3 drives. Like, I don't know. I never felt like they were playing with a lot of energy. I felt the offense looked fine for the first 2 drives.
Russell Wilson was getting booed.
Yeah, I mean, but that felt more like him than the Jets. Like,
definitely.
But what was wrong with the Jets' offense and the whole game? The Jets' offense was moving the ball.
I think you can feel. I think there are times in sports where you can say we're winning, but like we're kind of waiting for the here comes the bad moment, right? I think that's where the Jets are.
Why would you have been waiting for a bad moment there? They were up 9 points, and Rodgers just throws it into the middle of the field.
50 years of Jets football, Perloff.
But Rodgers doesn't throw that pass. He never throws picks like that. He's great at avoiding interceptions.
So much to unpack from this. But now Devontae Adams taking the microphone. 855-212-4227. Will it matter? Coming up next, college football. Oh, we're getting a mulligan. Let's do it.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
If you are an Alabama fan, you have got to be on the razor's edge. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Obviously, Perloff, Alabama became a national brand. Well, it has been for a long time, but Nick Saban took it to a different level, right? I mean,
Bear Bryant.
Well, I'm saying, but Nick Saban in this era, for these two generations maybe of fans.
Yeah.
But, you be back in the Bear Bryant era, also the games weren't on ESPN,
Well, I think Alabama is probably the most famous college program of all time. I don't know. I think it's close. Alabama, there have been a lot of movies about Alabama football, too.
Okay. I would also say Notre Dame. I didn't think this is where the conversation was going to go, but
I mean, but my point is, like, I don't think it's funny. I don't think Alabama, like Nick Saban, made Alabama.
No. But for this era, it was so much dominance. I think and in this media era, it created just like
this is just part of your anti-Forrest Gump narrative.
I love Forrest Gump. It's not my fault.
Yeah,
it's political.
Yeah. Did you see when Forrest was returning kicks for the Tide? That was amazing.
Is that what you're considering the Alabama movie?
Yeah, no, but the great Bear Bryant movie where Tom Berenger played Bear Bryant, Junction Boys.
Isn't that Texas A&M,
you're right. Notre Dame is obviously huge too, but Alabama is a massive brand. It's like the brand of college football now, for sure. It is the team.
Right.
They're the Yankees of college football.
This is what I said. Yeah. Exactly. Alabama fans all over this country. Yeah. It's not just in the state of Alabama.
I just don't want to give Saban all the credit for that.
Oh, fine. But there's a lot of reasons why. But Alabama has fans from coast to coast.
Sure.
And they are the team ranked in the top 25 with 2 losses. And, the loss to Vanderbilt will never be forgivable, right, in the eyes of Alabama fans. But maybe even you get over that game. Maybe you do. Then you go to Tennessee and lose, which is, again, on its own may be forgivable, but not when you've paired these 2 losses together. I think that Alabama fans already were maybe they knew in their mind it was going to be a bit of a transition year, obviously with Saban to Kalen DeBoer. But I think they also believed, hey, we still have talent. It wasn't this mass exodus out of the building. They still did retain a lot of guys.
There was a pretty big exodus.
They beat Georgia. They hung on to beat Georgia. You become number 1 team in the country. And I think a lot of Bama fans said, we're still in this thing. We're the reports of our demise were way too premature. And then you lay 2 eggs. And to be honest, the game in between Vandy and Tennessee was South Carolina, and that wasn't that convincing. You kind of got out of there by the skin of your teeth. So I think Alabama fans are freaking out right now. And you may have gotten now a little bit of a favorable break with Missouri, who's coming in as basically a 2-touchdown underdog. Their Missouri's quarterback is super banged up. Their best running back is going to be out for this game. But still, you lost to Vandy. I think Alabama is feeling, and their fans rather, I don't know about the players and the coaches, but the fans have got to be feeling super vulnerable right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did have they lost probably their 2 best players, right? Caleb Downs and Isaiah Bond, who had the big catch last year, walked out the door. I'm not.
They brought in Ryan Williams. I mean,
but that means I'm saying they did have a pretty big exodus. And then the thing about Alabama, remember I had this bet, I think with EJ, that they wouldn't reach double-digit wins. The expectations were much lower. You had a good point. They raised them mid-season. Like this was I think this was the lowest they've ever been ranked coming into the season. So people should have. I think they kind of got a little hysteria going. They should have been more realistic about this Alabama team, right? Like if you were ever to lower the expectations, wouldn't this have been the year?
Yeah, but I think you can say that, but when they're actually out there playing, and then again when they beat Georgia and they were blowing Georgia out, Georgia comes back, then they retake the lead, and how they escaped in that game, I think the expectations were back on. I mean, I'm not crazy about that. They literally were the number one team in the country after that.
Definitely. You're right. There was the lowest preseason ranking since 2009 for Alabama coming into this year. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but what was it?
5th.
Yeah, it was 5. They weren't ranked 15.
But reality is, like, we should have been a little more rational about this team, even after they beat Georgia. Like, there are flaws with this team, obviously. And I feel like Kellen DeBoer actually kind of wrote his own death sentence by being too good at first. But here's the thing. What if Vanderbilt keeps winning?
Listen,
the committee's going to look at that as a good loss. A road loss to a top 25 team is better. And Tennessee, that was in Tennessee. That game's in Alabama. Maybe Alabama wins it. I just think like the story has not been written yet. They can win this game against Missouri at home, and then it's just like the whole thing is about LSU. So the story has not been written. That's all I will say for Alabama fans.
Yes, it's going to be interesting. First of all, you can't overlook Mizzou because you're thinking about LSU.
Definitely not.
And LSU has their hands full this weekend themselves because they're going to Texas A&M. And the home team has won that matchup the last 7 times they've met. So for LSU, that history doesn't bode well. Now, granted, every year is different. But this, to me, for Alabama, there's this also kind of vague thing that I think Alabama fans, it's you know it when you see it, which is this idea of the standard, right? The standard that Nick Saban set, and the fact that has that standard taken a dip. Now, this is something that we're not going to know. We're not at practice. But what we can see on the field, 15 penalties last week, some silly penalties. Is the focus there? Is the standard up to the quality of Nick Saban? And unfortunately for Kalen DeBoer, that's like a nebulous thing that, it will only be erased if they win a national title. And right now, they're on the verge of being left out of the college football playoff. Can you imagine a world, no matter who's coaching, where you expand the playoff to 12 teams and Alabama is not there in the first season of that? That it feels unfathomable.
Really? You mean coming into this year, you said they were guaranteed to make the final. Like, yeah.
We've talked about now they might have to rely on the brand to get them in.
Well, we had Ralph Russo, the AP college football writer, saying they wouldn't there's a chance they wouldn't get in with 2 losses. That, to me, seems far-fetched. Like, if they beat Missouri, who's, 21 now or something, and they beat LSU, who's 8, then they're getting in. If they can run the rest of the table.
But if it's Mizzou without their starting quarterback, they might think about that a little bit differently, the committee.
Yeah, but I think both losses are both road losses. The committee, come on. I mean, the committee will go with the brand. I totally agree with that. I think that we got a little over our skis with Kellen DeBoer and Alabama. Like, give the guy a chance here. Honestly.
Easy for you to say.
I mean, like, their roster, they certainly aren't in the new NIL world. They're not stockpiling stars like they used to. This is not an Alabama roster from 5 years ago, and it's never going to be again.
Yeah, but wouldn't you expect that they're not stockpiling, but in theory, then no one's stockpiling, right?
Yeah, and that's what's playing out. That's how Georgia goes out and loses to Alabama. Like, it's just teams are not at the top, aren't as consistent anymore.
This was former Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron. EJ, it was a podcast. I don't know which one. There you go. This is a former Alabama quarterback talking about those halcyon days of Alabama. Kiss them goodbye.
I think it's definitely a different era. I don't think you'll see the same standard from discipline, just things that the team seems to do. And it's a new day and age. Everybody's worried about TikTok and having a reel and, being on highlights for their personal self and personal gain and how much money they can get from NIL.
See, I know that's something that's felt all along college football, college basketball, college sports in general about athletes wanting to get theirs and build their brands and stuff. But that's a slight at DeBoer, isn't it? I know it goes
no.
everywhere. I know Nick Saban retired allegedly because of this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Alabama's been struggling a little bit more, and the last couple of years of Saban were much dicier than like the run ended kind of like they snuck into the Final Four last year
and they were one play away from beating Michigan.
Yeah, but I think nobody looked at last year's team as a dominant Alabama team, right?
Not dominant, and they obviously had the big Iron Bowl win, or else it would have been curtains. But then they did beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, so I think people were back in.
Right, but I think they were big underdogs in that game. It's funny, and the year before that, when what was the year when Tennessee beat them and they carried
2 years ago?
Yeah, that wasn't a great Alabama team either. I think Saban understood what was happening and walked out the door as the trend was going downward. That being said, I think you got to give Kalen DeBoer a chance to rebuild the Washington program. Like Kalen DeBoer, everyone keeps telling me they're sloppy teams because they move so fast. Like he is going to recreate his team. He had no chance this year because they got smashed in the transfer portal. I would give the guy time personally.
I would too, but I'm not an Alabama fan and I don't speak for them. And I can just understand why you're feeling nervous. And the idea, again, that Alabama would not be in the first 12-team college football playoff, I think makes Alabama fans sick to their stomach. It's one thing when it's 4 teams. It's another thing when it's 12. And your fall from grace shouldn't be this far, I guess, is what I think most Bama fans are feeling. 855-212-4227. Listen, it's a privileged place to be. You've seen a lot of winning, right? This is like Patriots fans, Can you really complain? You had 20 years of dominance. But, you're wondering if you're ever going to get back to the mountaintop.
But are Alabama fans going to jump right back on if they beat LSU?
Well, I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is going to be. If they beat LSU, yeah, maybe. Or do you still have it in the back of your head? Hey, this is not Saban.
Yeah, okay, we'll see. I mean, you really thought Alabama was that great last year? I never once thought that.
Not that they were that great, but the fact is they actually overachieved maybe for their roster, and to that you would point to what? The coach.
I don't know. I think last year's roster, like they didn't even commit to Milroe until about week 4, and then he turned out to be awesome, especially with his legs. And it was just a different Alabama team last year. I think Saban's like, well, you know what? NIL, I can't keep everybody. I'm out. But that's why I think Kalen DeBoer is good, because he's going to be good for this modern era of college football because he's got such a great offense. I think once he gets it going, it's going to be very, very good. I'd be psyched to have Kalen DeBoer as my coach personally.
855-212-4227. Again, we're on in Alabama, but you don't have to live in Alabama to be a Bama fan. They're all over this country. Are you as high on DeBoer as Andrew Perloff is? Can you actually have some patience here? Or do you go into this Mizzou game feeling a little tight?
You better win this
game. And that
game.
LSU game is not going to be a picnic either. 855-212-4227. Okay, lots more to do today, but you're welcome to weigh in on that. We say good morning to everybody who's hanging out in our chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. We also have a podcast every day. Every day we put stuff up there. If you could go, download, give us a 5-star review. It's a very small thing that actually goes a long way for us. Okay, coming up. Was not expecting this guy to pop back up into our lives this quickly. Who is it and where did we spot him? We'll tell you next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
All right, sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening. Because health is a long game, and it's yours to win. Now, here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Boyd in Mississippi. Learn more at depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break.
Fans woke up to a miracle sight. We beat Perloff Phillies for the first damn night. Said it couldn't happen, no way, no how. But we proved them wrong, look at us now. Hey Perloff, how do you feel? The Mets just made this win so fucking real. First time ever, we got it done. And Peter Verlani showed up for the damn fun. Peter shit. He finally punched in and didn't quit. Wearing Mets colors, loud and proud. For once he's here, damn near the crowd. Peter Belotti's here, believe this shit. He finally punched in and didn't quit. Wearing Mets colors, loud and proud. For once he's here, damn near the crowd. Remember Perloff with his fake baby prop. Pickpocket folks at the local stop and shop. Sneak up close with that plastic grin. Swipe in wallets while the check their spinach in. Hey Perloff, where's your grin? Your Phillies lost, let the Mets begin. Peter Belotti's back, ain't that grand? Celebrating history in Mets land. Mets fans laughing cause we all know Perloff's baby scheme was a dirty show. Now he's watching his Phillies fall apart while Belotti's here. Bless his Mets, loving heart. What's the score? Mets fans singing forevermore. Peter Belotti's back and join the cheer. Mets beat the Phillies, first time this year. So here's to the Mets, a toast so sweet. We conquered Philly, ain't that shit neat? And Peter Belotti's here to mark the day when the Mets won big hip hip, hooray!
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is sponsored by the new 2025 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid that has class-leading advanced safety features like the available blind spot view monitor to make your ride more enjoyable. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. Interesting little sighting at Green Bay Packers practice this week, Maggie. Robert Saleh, former Jets coach, supposed to be sort of just enjoying his millions of dollars that he still gets from the Jets at home. Obviously, like all football coaches, got bored. It's 3 days into being at home with all those kids. Got out of town.
7 kids. No wonder
got out of town and went to Lambeau and was, I don't know, sort of unofficially consulting. They haven't named his role there, but he's best friends with Matt LaFleur, the head coach, and he's in Green Bay. I don't get it. Why is he in Green Bay? Their defense is killing it right now. There's another team that needs him.
Who?
He's got to go to San Francisco. They should hire him now. He answered a question immediately after he got fired. Will you join the Niners? He said, no, I don't want to coach this year. But he obviously does. So the Niners need him because I think everybody talks about Brock Purdy and Deebo Samuel. This defense has been on this slow decline over the last 3 years. It's mysterious, and it's got to be coaching because they still have the players there.
So apparently Robert Saleh is consulting, I guess. I bet they want to be careful with what they call him because he's still collecting checks from the Jets, and they probably don't want that to in any way step on his ability to get all of his money.
Oh, is that why they're not naming this?
I think so.
Got it.
But two other things. He's also consulting the offensive side of the ball. So he's obviously giving them like, if I was a defense, this is what I would do. And I'll give you the reason why he was never going to go to San Francisco this year. Not that he's friends with Matt LaFleur. They are good friends. I think they were best men in each other's weddings. Yeah. Sticking it to Rodgers. How do you not look at this and say he's not sticking it to Aaron Rodgers a little bit? Aaron Rodgers, who I don't know if he ordered the code red on Saleh getting fired, but he certainly could have saved his job if he wanted to. Rodgers got so much power in that organization. I don't care what he says. He had the power. He would have had the power to save Rodgers. So instead, he's going to say, you want to get rid of me? I'm going to go to your former team, the one who got rid of you, and I'm going to help them be the best they can be. And if the Packers win a ring this year, I'm getting one. I think this is personal. I do. Maybe I'm petty and it would have been personal if it was me. I think this is personal with Robert Saleh.
Wow.
You didn't think about this at all?
Not even. I totally forgot that Aaron Rodgers even played in Green Bay. No, I just think that, first of all, Green Bay is going to win a ring without Aaron Rodgers. That's happening with or without Robert Saleh. Yeah, I don't know. That seems like a lot of gymnastics. Wouldn't going to San Francisco and being awesome there also stick it to Rodgers?
No, not in this way. That's not personal enough. I know Rodgers is from Northern California, but no. This is your former team who, let's be honest, I think Rodgers did want to come back to the Packers, and they said no after he got out of the darkness retreat. Remember that whole thing?
No, I'm not sure I totally believe that because he didn't answer the phone.
He says he doesn't get service at the Malibu house, guys. We went over this.
No, I definitely.
Botcher just rolled his eyes.
I think also that receiving core is like, I'm not coming back with all these young receivers. And
it was a mistake. I watched Ryan Botcher just roll his eyes through double pane glass and your glasses. And I can see that from here.
Obviously. So, I don't know that Aaron Rodgers seems to be focused on other things. I don't see a lot of animosity towards the Packers. Is he monitoring the Packers on a week-to-week basis? It seems like he's got so much going on, and he says so many different things on the McAfee show. He's more interested in who built the pyramids and what's going on in Green Bay. I haven't heard that. It's a great theory. Is he really holding a grudge against the Packers?
No. I'm saying Robert Saleh. I don't know if Rodgers, I think he might be holding a grudge. They definitely moved on. I think he maybe felt a little salty about that. How could you not?
Yeah, they drafted Jordan Love, and he went ballistic.
And now you have a coach who, again, Rodgers could have saved his bacon if he wanted to and didn't. And so now here goes Robert Saleh. Probably could have gone to San Francisco and instead chose Green Bay.
But here's the thing. I don't think Saleh is going to get full credit in Green Bay because they just held C.J. Stroud to 86 yards passing. Like, their defense is killing it right now. So Saleh's like, no one's going to say, Saleh got there, they're any better. Like,
I'm just saying it's may not even be for public consumption. That could just be man to man. You want to be gone.
Does anybody here buy this theory?
It's interesting. I don't know if I buy it because I really think LaFleur is legit his homie.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm surprised that LaFleur still is his homie since he fired his brother. Saleh fired, Mike LaFleur.
Yeah.
They
probably blame that on ownership or something.
Yeah, maybe. But I would think that would maybe hold something for me a little bit. I wouldn't be the first guy to give you a job. I guess the only thing I would say, Pearl, is I do feel like Rodgers last year, he couldn't help but keep talking about how much he is happy for Jordan Love and how he mentored him. And he wanted to take credit for the Packers playing well last year, which is crazy.
It feels like he's going to, the day he retires, he's going to get honored in Green Bay. Like, that's a good relationship now, right?
Yeah, I don't think
maybe
it's good.
Maybe it will be, but I don't know what it's like today.
Yeah, I think he's maybe was trying to soften the blow because he kind of knows what's coming.
Well, he kept saying that they're
going to be
last
great
year with the Packers. I feel like he was like really encouraging the Packers last season. I don't think he knew how good they were.
But the front office, I don't think he's got any love for, even still.
Yeah, but I remember he was saying he's been saying nothing but nice things about Jordan Love.
That's fine, but he also wants to take a little credit, I think, for Jordan Love's development.
Right. No, I think it's way, way better than Favre was with the Packers at this point. You don't think that like he's going to be embraced by Green Bay? He said a lot of nice things about that team.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not talking about the fans, and I'm not talking about Jordan Love. I'm talking about the front office. I think Aaron Rodgers said he came out of the darkness retreat and they moved on.
Yeah. But I think that I feel to him that's ancient history now. Probably maybe you could be right, but I think he's got so many problems on his plate right now.
Well, he's also a world-class grudge holder. We read Ian O'Connor's book. You're either in or you're out with Rodgers. And once you do anything that shows you're disloyal or that you're against him or whatever, he writes you off forever. So is it ever going to be good between him and the GM or the president of the team? I don't know. He's that kind of guy. It might not be top of mind, not bringing it up on McAfee every week, but I bet it's there.
I'll bet you the day first of all, him and Goody will never be friends, but I'll bet you the day he retires, he gets honored in Green Bay, and he'll go right back. I feel like he's even been back to Green Bay. Like, it's not like a huge, like, fight with them. But I don't know, also, too, you're right. Like, he used some wheeze last year on Green Bay. Like, he still thinks that's his team as well, which is funny. That being said, like, Saleh, the Niners need him so badly right now. Like, people just keep talking about that offense. What happened to the Niners defense? Like, where is it?
It's a great question. Can we put the poll question up? Do you think Robert Saleh picked Green Bay to stick it to Rodgers? Or not picked Green Bay. Do you think Robert Saleh is coaching in Green Bay to stick it to Rodgers? Andrew Bogusch is here. Bogusch, you generally don't go along with any of my conspiracy theories. What do you think about this one?
I just think he's hanging out with his buddy.
Got it.
By the way, is he still off the board for the Niners? What do we know about this? No,
Perloff wants to drive to Wisconsin to get Saleh to drive him.
Like,
to
is he going to stay there the rest of the year? I haven't even seen.
I don't think they know. I mean, I read yesterday he was only there yesterday and today for now, and LaFleur called it fluid. So he might come and go as he pleases. I don't know if you're ever if there's any kind of limit on how many these kind of things you can do.
Maggie said something interesting. If he took another full-time job with Green Bay, would that kill his salary?
I think they offset.
Yeah, probably.
So I would imagine you want to be getting the full freight from the team that just fired you.
But
I want them to pay every dime if I'm him.
You're sure they offset?
I always thought so, but I might be wrong.
They usually do.
Right, except in the NFL where every contract says no offset, and so many guys double dip for the players.
Right.
That's
Well, I think a lot of guys go to broadcasting because that's not covered. So if you become a broadcaster, you get all that money and all your coaching.
Right. And I bet whatever his title is in Green Bay, if he has one, is not a coach, so it's not counting against his Jets.
Right.
Vibes coordinator.
But remember, a lot of rookies are holding out to get that offset clause in there. I think a lot of those guys have that now.
Well.
But not coaches. No, it's totally different kind of contract.
Yes, EJ.
No, I was going to say the same thing. I think that whatever his role is in Green Bay, it probably doesn't rise to the level of head coach of the Jets. So and that's why I think when they asked his role, LaFleur said it's fluid.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to take Woody Johnson's money?
Right.
Folks, what's going on today?
On the first full night of the new NBA season, multiple players returned from long absences. We begin with Ja Morant.
Morant peering in, 10 on the shot clock. Morant, stutter step move, goes around his back by George, hangs, scoops and scores with the left hand. You're welcome, Utah, for the show being put on by Ja Morant.
That's Eric Hasseltine on Grizzlies Radio. Ja, 22 points, 10 assists, and a 126-124 win in Utah after playing just 9 games last season. First, because of that 25-game suspension, then a season-ending shoulder injury. Head coach Taylor Jenkins liking what he sees.
The pace he's playing with, the activity defensively he's playing with, the rebounding. I think that was the biggest takeaway from his summer is the investment in his body, knowing that we're going to continue to push him even more than we've done in the past. And he responded in game 1. We're going to need it for many, many more games moving forward.
Honestly, who's thinking about the on-the-court stuff with Morant? That's not going to be the question here.
No.
The question is he packing in a nightclub?
Yeah, if he can stay off of that. You heard it here first. This is the surprise team in the West this year.
Oh, listen, I think they were on the upward swing before, to be honest, he derailed it. He's the one. I know he ended up getting hurt. That's not his fault. But the other stuff, I mean, that's just solely on him.
I know, and that's a shame. And I don't know if you guys saw that Nike ad where they were trying to rehab his image. Those sneakers look sick, by the way.
I didn't see
Ja
it.
2s. There's a whole ad where it's just him It's with family. It's with friends. They're like ironically, they're playing basketball in his backyard.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
didn't he pull a gun the last time that happened when we were kids?
It's under investigation.
Yeah, I was a little surprised they put that in the ad, but it's a legit 1 minute ad of just like, this is the nice person John Moran is. It was like, wow, okay, Nike's trying hard there, but those sneakers look nice. I might buy myself a pair.
Where was the place in Denver? Cowboy Willie's or whatever? Shotgun Willie's? I think is
Ryan, do you know?
The famous
No
strip
idea.
club.
He's got
where
a best friend, though. His new best friend on his team, I think, will keep him in check. Yuki Kawamura, the 5'8" guy.
Oh, yeah. They're a great pairing.
They're a great, dynamic duo. I think he'll stay calm because of him.
You know how I see the Grizzlies. EJ and I talk about this. They are a team that's built to win 61 games of the regular season, then lose in the playoffs. Like, they're relentless. Because he's relentless and he just runs up and down the court, but he can't shoot. He's like a 30% at 3-point shooter.
I mean, they lost to the Warriors, but he got hurt in the series. We don't really know what would have happened.
That, but I don't think that John Moran he reminds me so much of Allen Iverson. Iverson did get to a finals one, but he just wasn't like Steph Curry. You need to be able to consistently hit outside shots. Does this team have that? They're built like the Knicks. They're going to win 57 regular season games anyway. So I don't see. Memphis will probably go on a run. Everyone will get into him, and something will happen.
I mean, I'm not picking them to come out of the West, but I think people have just forgot about them because John Morant's been gone.
Lonzo Ball played for the Bulls for the first time last night since January of 2022. He scored 5 points, 4 assists in 14 minutes in a 123-111 loss in New Orleans. His brother LaMelo had 34 and 11 in the Hornets' 110-105 win in Houston.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you come in, you have your first real game, so definitely want to win. New coach, new everything. We try to build a whole new thing. So just to come in and get that first win, it's a blessing.
Last season ended for LaMelo in late January with an ankle injury. No Embiid or Paul George, so the Sixers lost their debut 124-109 at home to the Bucks, who got 55 combined points from Giannis and Damian Lillard. The Suns outlasted the Clippers 116-113 in overtime in the first game at Intuit Dome in L.A. The Magic spoiled the dedication of Pat Riley Court in Miami 116-97. Jimmy Butler just 3 points in that loss for the Heat. Liberty football was 5-0 this season on a 17-game regular season winning streak, and they lose as a 27-point favorite at Kennesaw State, 27-24. The Owls were 0 for 10 against FBS opponents since transitioning up from FCS. NC State quarterback Grayson McCall is retiring after his latest head injury. That one was earlier this month. McCall finishes with over 10,000 passing yards, 91 touchdowns in 4 seasons at Coastal Carolina, and this fall with the Wolfpack. Cooper Kupp and his ankle are no longer on the Rams' injury report, so he should play tonight against the Vikings unless LA wants to protect him while those trade rumors swirl. And Alex Ovechkin's a little closer to Wayne Gretzky.
Strome holding it along the far wing. Ovechkin's on the ice here, chasing after it. Will he get there for a chance? He might. A backhander. He scores! Alex Ovechkin into the empty net, and that will delight the masses here as the Capitals have a 6-3 lead.
And they would beat the Flyers 6-3, extending their win streak to 5 and Philly's losing streak to 6. Ovechkin's empty netter is career goal number 855, so he now needs 39 more to match Gretzky's all-time mark. Guys, back to you.
That's amazing.
By the way, I watched that Heat thing last night. Did anyone see the Pat Riley?
They dedicated the court to Pat Riley. Right.
I couldn't. Was that a triple halftime? It seemed to last 45 minutes.
It felt like every halftime last night for some reason lasted forever.
But it was super cool. They had Mourning there, Wade there, Haslam there. It was a real celebration. I forgot how good this Heat team's been since he got there. It's been 30 years, they said last night. And Dwayne Wade is the coolest guy. He's the coolest retired.
What did he do last night?
His outfit was so perfect. I don't know. He didn't do anything. He just sat there. He was in the front row. I forgot. And Mourning is the coolest. I'm a big fan of retired Heat players. Glenn Rice was there. It was just like a trip down memory lane. I actually had no idea that they lost the game. I figured that they were going to be inspired by Riley.
They got mauled yesterday.
Have you ever interviewed Pat Riley, Maggie?
I have not. I actually did go up to him once and ask him for an interview, and he promptly said no.
Yeah, so. I was a young pup reporter in the late 90s, and I did a lot of NBA. I somehow got press passes at the Knicks game, and I got up to Pat Riley and post game, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I have to ask a question. I could barely get out a word. I'm so intimidated by this man. I'm like, Mr. Riley, you're so good looking. Do you want to say it? I was so. He is a presence and a half. That's the scariest guy to interview. What did he say to you? Was he just like, no?
He was very nice about it.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, no. I dropped the upstate New York thing.
Oh, okay.
It's like, hey, Schenectady, I'm from Binghamton. I tried to do that, and he was like, I appreciate that, but I'm not doing any interviews right now.
Man.
It was at this random. It was Well, actually, I ended up getting Mitch Kupchak, so other people were doing interviews, and he was the GM of the Lakers at the time. It was at a showcase, I think, in New Jersey, and Sports Illustrated was there.
Pat Riley is the most intense man in the history of sports. Have you ever read the Wright Thompson story about him?
Yes.
He is miserable, intense. I mean, he would kill his grandmother to win a basketball game. And that was what everyone said last night. He's like, I came here for one reason. That was to beat the other team. I'm like, dude, you're like 75. Chill out. He will not do it.
No. The Jimmy Butler thing, though, how is this going to go down?
Not good.
Yeah, I was thinking that, too. I'm like, all right, so Pat Riley calls out Jimmy Butler last year at the end of the season, saying he really shouldn't be criticizing another team when you're not even playing in the playoffs, right? So already kind of challenging your best player to play more or whatever this is going to be. And then on the night when the court gets dedicated to you, Butler scores 3 points.
There's a protest. That was his response.
I don't know if I can have two hot takes in the same segment. I already said Robert Saleh is in Green Bay to stick it to Aaron Rodgers.
I'll take this one because I had the thought that he did this on purpose.
That's what I thought,
he
too.
Went 1 for 8, 3 points because he doesn't want to play on Pat Riley court.
To spoil the night for Riley and this whole heat culture thing and Riley getting and everyone back to kiss the rings of Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler. Emo Jimmy Butler is just like, nah.
I watched some of this game, unfortunately. He had no energy. It was, and it's Jimmy Butler game 1, so I understand that.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised at just how much lack of energy he had. Like, I was like, wow, he's not giving anything.
16 cups of coffee a day. You'd think that it would help.
Yeah, and then they were getting, his matchups, Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, they might combine for 60 points last night. Like, there was no defense. It was just a driveway to the basket.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so what do you think when they're in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals? Is it going to come back to haunt them?
Maybe.
They're not. They're done, Perloff. You keep saying that. They got smoked last year. Give me a break.
Come on, EJ. You are smart enough not to ever call the Heat done.
They suck. Did you watch them last night?
Well, it is game 1, and I do think Jimmy Butler was protesting. Sorry.
Jimmy Butler was not protesting. There's no NBA player who cares about any former coach more than his stats. There's never in the history of the world has a guy missed shots because he was mad.
What are we calling out? Hold in?
He might not play defense.
He held in last night.
He quiet quit last night.
Jimmy Butler has protested before. He protested
I can
in
totally see
Minnesota.
that, but you're not going to go 1 for 8 out of protest. You're going to not play defense. Nobody wants to miss shots. He cares more about his stats than anything in the world.
I think he's got the guaranteed money, and now maybe we saw Jimmy Butler again. You mentioned Minnesota, got himself out of there. I don't know why you'd want to leave Miami, but maybe there's a trade on the horizon. I
can't wait for this team to make the playoffs and scare somebody as an 8 seed.
By the way, I looked up that place that John Morant got in trouble, Shotgun Willie's. That's what it is. It's called Shotgun Willie's, a famous gentleman's club in Denver. And guess what they have going on? It's not an endorsement. The world's largest office party? Can you throw your office party at a strip club?
Do you have to show up in a business casual?
Right. Bring your wife. I don't think that's going to fly in most offices.
Well,
I had to sit through 4.5 hours of HR telling me sexual harassment training. I don't know if you can then turn around and have your office party at Shotgun Willie's.
Isn't that though? Isn't law firms, agents, don't they all often take clients to strip clubs?
Yeah, do they still do that? I was wondering.
No, I'm sure they probably do, but
it's very acceptable in the financial industry.
4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I always thought that was more of an after hours, end of the night, not 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's happy hour.
Well, people are, you know what happens in Colorado, right?
What?
Remember?
Oh.
Because they smoke weed,
yes,
they're
right.
also swingers.
No, I'm the one who told you they were swingers.
No, and people already said it's because they smoke all that weed.
Yeah, Denver's the #1 swinging town in America. And if you have a red mailbox, it's on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's on. I'm looking at this now. last Friday of each month. So that's next. Oh, is that tomorrow? Yeah, because next Friday is November 1st. So, all right, let's book our flights.
Perloff and Dick to drive to San Antonio.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Oh, wait. So they just call it the greatest office party.
World's largest office party.
Yeah.
Last Friday
I
of
thought
each
you were
month,
saying
4
that
to 8.
companies can book this for your Christmas party.
You can. You can. To have a private party here, you only need 4 or get more guests. And are 2 the chicks? Anyway, I don't know. But an office party is a funny way to put it.
I'll do the research for the good of the show.
Thank you, Bogish.
You're welcome.
Way to take one for the team.
Ugh, I hate strip
You go
clubs.
see Wemby. I'll go to Shotgun Willie's.
Just make sure you live stream it like Sean Morant. Really going to be the full experience.
And I'll leave all my guns in the car.
Oh, that's nice.
You guys know I'm officially anti-strip joint because the conversation with the stripper is so awkward. Like, I can't do awkward conversations.
You're the only one talking about it. You're like, well, it's really hard to get here today. The
That
Liberty
drive through
Parade.
Chicago.
My brother can, he like can talk to strippers. Like me at a bachelor party, it's like, because you're forced to have this awkward. You guys know the conversation.
Well,
it's
I just
like,
assume-
oh, I'm in med school or something, or like I'm in vet school, and like, oh God, I have to pretend I'm listening.
Why
and
do you
like,
have to talk?
I don't know. It's a thing that happens.
Okay, because of nervous energy.
It's you have to talk. Like both sides are expecting some form of verbal communication.
I kind of think about this as like when a runner's on first, right? It's like that first baseman, whoever it is, they're going to be brilliant at small talk. Every first baseman's got to be a good small talker because you always got the guy there on first, and that's a place where you actually can make a little small talk. So I assume that she's probably really good at this.
Yeah.
She's doing it 20 times a night.
That's too much of an assumption.
All right.
Talking, that's not why they're there.
Well, I get it, but wouldn't it be a skill that you'd pick up? You can't do the weather? Hey, crazy weather we're having.
Yeah, but there's also
So you live around here?
She's very much sizing you up and down for how much money you're going to give her. Like,
Right.
that is a very it's
So
a very
made any
clear
good
choice.
investments lately? How's the stock market?
Yeah.
This is easy.
When
small
we
talk.
were like 19, we'd go to the strip joint right near where the Sixers practice. And we'd be sitting there.
It's called Allen Iverson's.
I'm about to say Allen Iverson like have
Living room?
pay rent there.
It was right on City Light Avenue in Philadelphia. It was a big strip joint. And they knew that we had a bunch of ones. And they were just like, oh, God, these idiots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They were just waiting for the Sixers to be done with practice and get us out of the building.
And then they're like, so
But one
how
thing
do
I
you
will
think
tell
the
you,
Eagles are going to do this year?
that place was crowded at 3 o'clock. There's nothing wrong with the afternoon strip joint. I think they do good business around then.
They got the office party.
Yeah.
855-212-4227. Again, I'm not sure why I just gave the number out there. It's just what I do. You can weigh in on all the hot takes we've had today. Robert Saleh back in Green Bay to stick it to Aaron Rodgers, and did Jimmy Butler dog it last night because Pat Riley was getting the court named after him?
Also, lunch at strip clubs.
Well, yeah, happy hour, really.
Right.
Coming up, this is unique. We'll get to this in a minute. A very bizarre reason for an NFL player to miss practice. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Young Peter Schwartz, just 13 years old, dreamed of Yankee tickets, oh so bold. Playoff game night, light shining so bright, but his free pass didn't show. Oh, what a fright! No free tickets to the game, haunts his memory still the same. Peter's dreams went up in smoke, and his heart was never quite unbroke. He stood by the mailbox day and night, hoping those tickets would make it right. But they never came, no knock on the door, left him wishing for something more. No free tickets to the game, haunts his memory still the same. never quite unbroke. He rolls in, he's got that hungry look, sitting down for breakfast like a king in a nook. Give me that croissant and make it fucking nice, and don't forget that fresh squeezed OJ, it's my vice. He's ordering big, what a fucking sight. $30 on breakfast, man, it's out of sight. Andrew Perloff sweating, can't escape this shit. Off the bed, now he's begging, it's a hell of a fit. 2 eggs on the side and don't skimp on the cheese. I want it all fresh, make me weak in the knees. And that fresh squeezed OJ, I want a fucking glass. Pour it high and mighty, let's make this breakfast last. He's ordering big, what a fucking sight. $30 on breakfast, man, it's out of sight. Andrew Perloff groaning, this ain't what I planned. Stuck with the bill, it's all slipping through his hands. While he's chowing down, sipping that OJ Bliss, Perloff calculating just how much this shit is. Damn, this breakfast is fancy, what the hell did I get into? Next time I'm betting on a plain bagel or two. And where's Peter Bellotti? That fucking dude's late, not showing up for work, man, what's his fate? EJ sipping OJ, living life without pain. Belotti's at home, probably watching the rain. So here's to EJ, the breakfast king supreme, with that fresh squeezed OJ living out his dream. And to Andrew Perloff with a sigh and a laugh, paying for the shit, it's his breakfast half. On the side and don't skip all the cheese. I want it all fresh, make me weak in the knees. And that fresh squeezed OJ, I want a fucking glass. Pour it high and mighty, let's make this breakfast last. He's ordering big, what a fucking sight. $30 on breakfast, man, it's out of sight. Andrew Perloff's groaning, this ain't what I planned. Stuck with the bill, it's all slipping through his hands. While he's just chowing down, that OJ Bliss, OJ Bliss. Perloff's calculating just how much the shit is. Damn, this breakfast is fancy, what the hell did I get into? Next time I'm betting on a plain bagel or two. Or two.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So glad to have you on this Thursday. All right, college football, Perloff. Got some big spreads this weekend, but that's not what we're about to talk about. I'm going to give you a gift. Okay. And I'm going to take a little of the gift too, which is a mulligan on this college football season. If there's something that you would like to take accountability for, just say, I was flat out wrong about this and I wish I had a do-over for the college football season, what would it be?
Well, okay. There's 2 ways to do a mulligan. You can either do something I was wrong about or something that I wish I had done differently.
Okay.
Well, I was very wrong about one prediction. I mean, it was so epically wrong that I don't even know if it counts, but I had Florida State reaching the playoff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They were number 10 coming in. Actually, they might have been higher. They were number 10 coming into the season. Obviously, DJU was okay last year. He wasn't the worst quarterback on planet Earth, and they were undefeated. So I was just, the highest ranked ACC team. I'm like, you know what? I don't love any of these other teams. I'm like, Miami always finds a banana peel. Clemson doesn't use a transfer portal. I use Florida State as my default. Now they're losing to Duke, a team that they haven't lost to since Steve Spurrier was there. This is just a complete mess. Actually, Steve Spurrier was a coach at Duke. He didn't play at Duke. But my point is, like, this is beyond my worst nightmare. So I had to pick Florida State, although I secretly wish I had picked Ashton Genty to be the Heisman Trophy favorite, but I had no idea about that. So I can't do that.
Well,
so it's going to be the one thing I predicted that I wish I hadn't was Florida State.
Yeah, now Florida State plays Miami this weekend, and that was circled for a long time as like, this is going to be the game that could decide the ACC. Well, Miami's a 21-point favorite in this game.
When's the last time Miami beat Florida State? Florida State, I think, is on a run against them. Yeah.
EJ can do some research on that. If you were giving me a college football mulligan, time to take a little accountability on something I was very wrong on. After USC beat LSU in the opener, I said I thought USC was going to be in the Big Ten title game. That was big wrong. Way, way, way wrong. Because USC is now lost to Michigan, they've lost to Minnesota, and they just lost to Maryland. This has been an awful inaugural season for USC going to the Big Ten, Perloff. And I think the craziest part and why Lincoln Riley is getting so much heat right now, and deservedly so, is you were kind of used to the defense being a little soft and the defense not being able to close games, which is still happening. But what happened to the offense?
They did lose Caleb Williams.
Yeah, but Miller Moss looked really good in that LSU game.
Yeah, I know.
So what happened here? It's not like he doesn't have any weapons. So
I don't know.
The question, I think I've got a lot of egg on my face for sticking my neck out for USC. I should have known better. And I just read this really good article in USA Today comparing Lincoln Riley to Jimbo Fisher, in the sense that Jimbo Fisher took over for a legend in Bobby Bowden, did really well with the program at FSU. Then when he went to Texas A&M, had all this hype and could never live up to it. Sounds a lot like Lincoln Riley. So kudos to USA Today for pointing this out. Took over for Bob Stoops. Program was great, thriving. You're making the college football playoff. You got Heisman Trophy winners all over the place. Your quarterback, then takes the giant step to USC, takes the big payday, and this thing has so far not been what everyone thought. So USC, Lincoln Riley, that's my big mulligan if you'll give me one on college football. I was loud wrong about USC and their outlook after they beat LSU.
Did you remember, did you have USC in the playoff coming into the year?
It was after LSU.
Yeah.
I was super impressed by that. And meanwhile, now LSU looks like, they're the team on the ascent. They got a big one in front of them this weekend playing Texas A&M. But still, LSU, Grant Nussmeier's back in the Heisman conversation, all of that stuff. And USC is just toast.
You know, it's funny about USC. I was thinking about, I think the fact that they went 8-5 last year with Caleb Williams, and I was with you. I thought USC was promising. Should we have known you know how good Caleb Williams is. Yeah. If you go 8-5 with that dude, how are you possibly going to be good with the next dude? Especially that they have injuries on defense too. This is the worst case scenario. I don't love that. I feel like what you're saying, and a lot of people say, is that Lincoln Riley only won because he had Stoops as players. I've heard that so many times, but Lincoln Riley won a lot.
No, I think it's because he had Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks.
I think it's
maybe
also
those guys their talent was propping up Lincoln Riley, and not the other way around.
I think it was the conference helped a lot too. I think
being in the Big 12.
Yeah, I think being in the Big 12 and not the SEC was a big deal. I think that's why people thought Lincoln Riley left. But I don't think he was that empty calories. I think he's a really good offensive coach.
Well,
and I think USC, by the way, once they get, give them a few years, they're going to have a lot of money, get a big time quarterback. Lincoln could do it again.
But it's that's the I don't want to say the irony or the karma, whatever it is that Lincoln Riley, there was a thought that he didn't want to go to the SEC, with Oklahoma, because thought he'd get exposed. So instead you go to USC, they join the Big Ten, and surprise, surprise, you're getting exposed. So it was coming for him either way.
Yeah, I mean, is it similar to my pick, though? The quarterback is not, what if you give him a real quarterback? I mean, I assume they have, the number one recruit coming there.
Well, I was going to say, last year they decided to go with Miller Moss,
Yeah, I know, but
they could have gone in the portal. I said Arch Manning should have went there. I don't know if that was ever going to happen, but.
It seems like Arch is really embedded at Texas.
That's fine. I'll let it go. But Lincoln Riley should have his pick of quarterbacks, especially coming off of coaching Caleb Williams and Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray and all those guys.
But if you actually look back, this transfer portal year was kind of dicey, except for Cam Ward, who's really hit. I mean, I don't think that DJU's been terrible. Will Howard's been okay, but was there who is his quarterback?
But that's the whole thing, though.
Yeah.
I think there was an idea that Lincoln Riley was the kingmaker for quarterbacks. So whoever it could have been or would have been, that's the person. They would have benefited so much from Riley.
Yeah.
And that's just not happening.
I'm a little, I think I'm going to be a little more big picture here. I'll bet you he gets a quarterback next year and starts to do some things.
I bet he's closer to getting fired. I think he's closer to getting fired now than he is closer to turning around this USC thing, because I think that the fan base is frustrated, and I think they're fed up, and they're used to cycling through coaches now.
Yeah, I would not. Personally, I would not do that, because what, are you going to bring in another Clay Helton type and lose all your big recruits?
855-212-4227. That's a Mulligan's here for the college football season. Anyone else want to fess up? Coming up next, big prediction for the NFL's trade deadline.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Kind of an odd spot tonight for Cooper Kupp. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Rams are playing tonight. They host the Minnesota Vikings on a surprisingly fun Thursday night football game. But Cooper Kupp is on the trade block. We found this out earlier this week that the Rams want to get rid of him, but the Rams are 2-4, Pearl, but they're not totally out of it because they're 2-1 in the division in the NFC West, which is not exactly blowing the doors off of anybody because the 49ers have been so banged up. So what do you do if you're the Rams tonight? Are you showcasing Kupp? Or if he has an amazing game, do you say, all right, I guess we're going to roll with who we have and we'll keep him off, then take him off the trade block?
I don't understand any of this. If there is really a trade that's about to happen, why did they let him hang out there and play this week? So it's an open audition game for the rest of the NFL. When you're in the playoff hunt, I can't remember a situation like this. And also, why are they trading him? Like for a 4th round pick, they say 2nd round pick. That's not happening.
No.
Because he's always injured. He's older. They think he might even retire soon. They're going to get a 4th round pick for him. Why not just keep that pick and go for the playoffs this year, just like they did last year? It makes no sense to me the way this is unfolded. And it clearly is a real rumor because even he's addressing it in press conferences. He's like, I'm here where I am today.
Yeah, I mean, there was a Stafford rumor as well. That one's been debunked a little bit more. No, Cooper Kupp is out there. And I think the reason why the Rams decided to do this is because he's not committed past this year, and you're watching wide receivers get traded all over the country. So there's a run on wide receivers. We've got one. Hey, maybe we'll get rid of him. We'll get a pick back. And let's be honest, the Rams may be in the market for a quarterback next year. They might want to arm themselves with some picks in case they have to move up and try to, get somebody. So I get putting him on the trade block. I don't think it matters what kind of game he has. If he has a 100-yard game, I think he's still on the trade block. And it just sort of makes this whole thing a little bit more interesting. Now, call it as we sit here on this Thursday. Do you think Kupp's getting traded?
Yes, I do.
Where?
Okay. I think it's going to be a mid-round pick. I think my leader in the clubhouse, it's so obvious to go the Bucs, so I'll say Steelers because I don't want to be obvious. Well,
the Bucs is the obvious one. You lose 2 wide receivers in the same game. You clearly need some help.
Well, unless the Bucs, are they buyers right now, or are they like, oh boy, I don't know if it's going to happen this year because of the injuries?
You play in the NFC South. You're never out of it unless you're the Panthers.
Out of it, but they've made the playoffs 3 years in a row and made no noise. So, what's the point of mortgaging the future?
Well, it was a close game against the Lions. So I think they believe they're on the upswing. That was last year in the playoffs. I think they believe they're on the upswing. So I think it's definitely the Bucs. Now, the Steelers are interesting. And why the Steelers are interesting is because, A, they definitely need a receiver. But, B, they've been linked to everybody. They were linked to Brandon Ayuk this offseason. I don't think that was a false flag. They were linked to Devontae Adams. I think the only reason why Amari Cooper might not be there is because maybe the Browns and the Steelers won't trade with each other because it's the AFC North. I don't know if they were in on DeAndre Hopkins. I would imagine they could be. So you have to take the Steelers seriously because they've been in every rumor.
Yeah, but they haven't pulled the trigger on any of these. So what does that mean?
Well, maybe it's a musical chairs kind of thing, and they feel like the music's running out soon, and they need They need somebody. They need a body.
Well, until Russell Wilson played the other day, they just didn't even target the wide receivers. I don't know. It's Tomlin. He's so weird about this stuff, right? And Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, they would probably bring in a big name wide receiver like Kupp and then not target him at all. I'm being dead serious. Remember, Arthur Smith drafted Bijan Robinson in the top 10 and then barely used him, gave the ball to Algier. So I don't know. The Steelers think they can win conservatively, so I'm not positive they make a move.
I think he's going to be gone. We both think he's going to be gone, but that would not be a bold move because we all know he's on the trade block. So, Perloff, if I'm asking you for a bold move and a bold prediction before the trade deadline on, what is it, November 5th? Is it the 5th? Yeah, something like that.
November 5th, election day.
Lovely. I love when worlds collide like that. Great. Nothing's going to be going on that day. What's your bold prediction?
Okay. Bold, I think you have to go a little against the grain, right? You can't just do a normal one like Deontay Johnson goes to the Steelers or whatever. I am going to go to the San Francisco 49ers, who I think at 3-4 are still going to be buyers, right? There's no way they're selling because everybody's hurt and everyone's saying wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. I got to be honest, like they're not getting cut because of the interdivision trade. I don't know who's left. Like I feel, you mentioned musical chairs. I think that they're not going to overpay for somebody. So 2 years ago, right around this time, right around Halloween, they made a nifty move for a pass-catching running back named Christian McCaffrey. Heard of him?
I remember.
It is the best trade they ever made. I said it was stupid to trade for a running back. I was dead wrong talking about a Mulligan. So how about knowing that Christian McCaffrey is not going to be around? This is becoming more clear by the day. Give it a couple days. By November 5th, they'll know whether McCaffrey's part of this or not. If he is not, a guy who's been floated around a lot of trade rumors, how about Jacksonville running back Travis Etienne? Because you're not getting a receiver. That dude is the most underused receiving weapon in the NFL. He could be, I know they have guys who can run between the tackles, Jordan Mason, and maybe even Isaac Arendo, whoever. I could see Travis Etienne playing that explosive McCaffrey role. Because the issue with the Niners right now is they're slow. There's no excitement. There's no juice. There's no big plays. You know, you need Brock Purdy to throw a 6-yard pass that turns into a 75-yarder. So they need, I think Travis Etienne could actually fix their passing game in a way that one of these sort of overvalued trade market wide receivers couldn't. So Etienne's been linked a lot to the Cowboys. I think the Niners could make another bold move because we didn't really see McCaffrey coming. And I think Etienne is the perfect antidote for their passing game woes because Purdy can throw the downfield ball, but I think Purdy would love to have a running back and take it to the house.
Yeah.
That's like his best thing. McCaffrey is so good in that role. You see the Niners are just not the same team without that kind of running back. So I would like to see them make this move.
Yeah, with the emergence of Tank Bigsby, who is fun to watch.
Yeah, he's great. Run over your head,
and
Tank
there's
Bigsby.
Nothing fun about the Jags at all. So that's really saying something. It's a good trade. However, can I just throw a little cold water on your trade?
Yeah.
Do you remember the owner of the Jags came out before the season and said, this is the best roster we've ever had?
Right.
If they still believe that's true, if they still believe they're contenders and they're going to somehow turn this thing around and be a wild card team, because I don't think they're catching the Texans, then they're not going to part with anything.
Wow.
I think there's a delusion and a belief in Jacksonville that they're still in this thing.
We have 2 games before November 5th, right? So we'll see what happens on the field here. They're 2-5 right now. If they go to 2-7, there's no belief. I don't know who. Actually, let's look at their schedule real quick. 2-7, somebody's going to probably, and they don't even use ETN anymore. They have Green Bay this week and then at Philly. I don't know. And also, too, obviously, I think people are going to be watching their wide receivers. They don't like ETN for some reason. They're just not using him well, so they could just go with Bigsby. I think this is a team that should be looked at closely as a seller.
Okay, so Perloff's bold prediction is Travis Etienne goes to the 49ers because you think that San Francisco finally deals with the reality that McCaffrey is likely not coming back. All right, very interesting. I've got a bold move for you.
Hit me.
And this move is bold because everything publicly has been to the contrary. And when I say that, I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones has said more times than I care to count how much they are not going to be making a trade at the deadline. Not going to be making a trade. Not going to be making a trade. Well, he's also been under a lot of scrutiny lately. And I wonder if they do end up finally doing something. It's not going to be a receiver, though. It's going to be running back. The run game is atrocious for Dallas. He keeps getting asked about Derrick Henry every week. It's getting old. What about Nick Chubb? Nick Chubb just returned from the Browns. The Browns, maybe Jameis Winston gives him a spark. Kevin Stefanski just handed play calling duties over to Ken Dorsey. I've ridden that ride. It's not that fun. I think there's a possibility, and I understand that Chubb's coming off a major knee injury, but he said after the game last week, I'm a little sore, but I'm doing okay. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to trade for Nick Chubb. And that's my bold prediction for the trade deadline.
Okay.
And then Jerry gets everyone off his back. I did it. I did something, okay? I did trade for a running back. I heard you. And everyone's back in. What do you think of my trade?
Yeah, I am a little nervous about Chubb's health.
Well, of course. It's not going to be perfect.
Yeah, and that's why he's available.
I don't know if he's available. Maybe.
Yeah, that's why he could be available. The team is terrible. I just if I'm a Cowboy fan, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Nick Chubb. Wait, what version of Nick Chubb are we getting? No, it makes perfect sense. They do need to trade for a running back. They have been linked to ETN. I think ETN would be a terrible fit there because he would just get stuffed behind the line every time. That's the thing. Are they creating any gaps for whatever running back is there? Is Nick Chubb feels kind of closer to Zeke Elliott and
it's a
and
lot
Rico
easier.
Dowdle.
It's a lot easier to run protect than pass protect. We know that.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm not sure what Nick Chubb would do there. It makes perfect sense, and you're right. Jerry, at certain points, should get smelling salts and say we need more at the running back position. That was, of all the things he did wrong this offseason, that was number one in my opinion. But Chubb, I just wish Chubb was old Chubb. If you could give me the old Chubb, I'd be so psyched on this trade.
Well, old Chubb is not getting traded. But the thing is
that's true.
You have to remember the Cowboys are not run like a football team. They're run like a reality TV show. And this is the classic twist. This is the surprise.
You say that, but they're the most boring personnel team in the league. They draft offensive linemen and defensive linemen every year. It's all they draft.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the draft. I'm talking about Jerry doing all these radio interviews and them being this sort of circus. And all they do is they just want to keep you interested. They're like drug dealers, They just want to keep stringing you along. They want you addicted to the product. That's it. And so this is the little bit of something that they throw to the fans, a little red meat for them to digest and say, look, we actually are doing something. We're back in.
The funny thing is, but they've never done that. They don't do that at all. In fact, they're the exact opposite. They never signed
Amari
anyone.
Cooper once upon a time in midseason.
Yeah, but generally, you're talking about a guy who makes big splashy moves to get attention. Woody Johnson, the Jets, getting Devontae Adams. That is absolutely out of character for the Cowboys. They, for some reason, you're right, there's a huge reality show, but they run their team like they're some small Midwestern operation. They're so conservative in their team building. They really are.
Well, but they also love keeping everyone on the edge of their seat. Are we going to sign Dak Prescott? Are we going to sign CeeDee Lamb? What's going on with that? We go back to Zeke Elliott holdouts. We go back to all this stuff. They like stringing this thing along when it makes no football sense whatsoever. You're telling me there's not a little reality TV show to that?
No, I think that they thought they were doing the best. I think they thought they were going to get a better deal on Dak Prescott, and they screwed up once they saw the quarterback. Once Trevor Lawrence got 55, they're like, oh, crap, we better do something. No, I don't think that's reality. I think that's financial incompetence.
Which also would make for a good show.
Here's the thing. They did not draft Johnny Manziel. Jerry Jones wanted to do it. That would have been the ultimate reality, and somebody has been holding Jerry back from doing these kind of things. Why didn't they trade for Devontae Adams? Why did they trade for get Amari Cooper back? Why have they not done a splash move yet? They need him a lot more than the other teams. They need him more than your Bills. Your Bills are winning.
Well, they would say financial stuff. They can't afford him.
They keep saying that.
They can afford Nick Chubb. 855-212-4227. Okay, bold predictions. Perloff thinks Travis Etienne is going to the 49ers. I think Nick Chubb is going to the Dallas Cowboys. Those are our bold predictions for the trade deadline.
We might nail that as a combo. Because if Travis Etienne goes to Cowboys, so we're both winners.
855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on what do the 49ers need and what do the Dallas Cowboys need to get these seasons, get a little more positivity going for these seasons, make you feel a little bit better about the direction of these two teams. Coming up, check in on our pal and yours, Deion Sanders.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Daily. Do you believe that? Deion.
You believe that?
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. What's that wacky Deion up to these days, Maggie?
giving us an update on Heisman hopeful Travis Hunter. So here is Deion Sanders saying Travis feels a lot better this week.
Travis is better than last week. I think he'll have more productivity because he's feeling much better than last week. You could just tell with his little giddy up and the way he goes about life, a little more pep in his step today. I think he did some conditioning today for sure to make sure he's on point with his conditioning because he never tires, and we want to keep that what it is.
All right, more from Deion. He says Hunter is going to play more this week. Of course, let's not forget Colorado's coming off of a big win over Arizona. They face Cincinnati on Saturday.
I think he will certainly contribute a lot more than he did a week ago because he's healthier.
All right, there you go. That's the latest. That's the update. This is getting interesting here for Colorado. And I know our resident Colorado Buffaloes alum, Andrew Kaplan's got to be pretty thrilled. When they lost that game to Nebraska, I thought, oh boy, this might go south pretty quickly. But they rebounded. They won their next 3 in a row. The loss to Kansas State, listen, K-State's a ranked team, and that was a close loss. Then they blow out Arizona. So this is, I think, turned out to be a pretty good season so far for Colorado. It's not totally crazy that they could be on track for the college football playoff, Perloff. It'd be tough.
Well, they have to win the Big 12.
They'd have to win the Big 12, and they're playing better.
So that means they have to get to the Big 12 title game. And, geez, I don't know how these tiebreakers work because right now you have 2 4-0 teams and 4 3-1 teams. The math, you're going to get into a lot of math, right? Because the odds are there's going to be more than 2 teams at the top of those standings.
You've got to really hope this is just maximum chaos in the Big 12, which is not that far off.
There are not that many games left. So the Kansas State will obviously have a head-to-head advantage over them. It feels pretty Herculean to me for them to, because with 2 losses, especially to Nebraska, because Nebraska is really falling apart.
Yep.
There's no way they're getting in that large because their strength of schedule is just not good enough. So,
and you're going to probably have 1-loss teams that would get those.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not seeing them, Meg. I'm not seeing them coming out of the Big 12. They also, I think they have Oklahoma State coming up on their schedule. Like, it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee that they're even going to make this Big 12 title game. That'd be fun, though.
Not bad. Not bad. I think after that Nebraska game, we were all ready to write the obituary for Colorado this season, and I think they deserve some credit there. So that's your daily Deion. That's your update on Travis Hunter.
Ooh.
Heisman odds still alive. But Perloff, you just asked me an interesting question in the break.
Yeah, so we were talking about Cleveland. Possibly Maggie had as a bold prediction that they trade Nick Chubb. So Cleveland right now is tied for the number 1 pick in the draft, and they have the hardest schedule of the whole league ahead of them because their division's crazy. So they could easily, who knows? They'll probably be better with Jameis Winston, but they could lose out and maybe knock off the Patriots because they don't have any of those easy games on their schedule. If things start to get a little bit worse, they've been really close. Say another guy gets hurt or say something goes bad and starts to go bad, they could easily be 1, 2, or 3 in the draft looking at a quarterback. Why not Shedeur Sanders? Why wouldn't this be a Shedeur Sanders landing spot?
Okay, so Shedeur Sanders potentially going to the Cleveland Browns. I think this is a team where Deion steps in and says, oh, hell no. Not on my watch. He's already said that he would get involved, and I think Cleveland is the reason why you get involved on behalf of your kid. I think Eli Manning probably could have had a good career in San Diego. They want him to go to the New York Giants. He wins 2 Super Bowls. All that is history. If you're really going to step in and you know the NFL, that is an ownership group that does not inspire a lot of confidence, and you are a revolving door at quarterback. I mean, it's a punchline. The Browns and quarterbacks, you can never find a match.
Yeah, but this is also a team. Sorry. This is also a team where, remember when Odell was there and Baker was there? Like, they were the number 1 buzz team in the NFL. Like, they have the potential to be kind of like a popular team. Baker
and how did that all go?
It didn't work out, but that doesn't mean like it won't work out next time. And generally, I don't think like Cleveland Browns feels like the graveyard that it did, say, in the 1970s or whatever.
I'm talking about the 2000s. The Cleveland, there's a reason why they have those T-shirts that have all of the quarterback names and they're all crossed off. They can't find a quarterback. They're snake bitten.
But they were the it team a few years ago.
But they were the it team, I think, with the media because we were always wondering what's going to happen next. Baker Mayfield could say something. Odell Beckham ended up basically begging his way out of town to the point where they cut him. And he got traded there.
Yeah, I know, but he agreed to go there. Like, he was signed off on it or whatever.
He said he thought the Giants traded him there as a revenge.
He said his career was sent there to die.
Exactly.
And it kind of did.
No, then he got to the Rams and won a Super Bowl.
I mean,
that was technically
played there 5 games and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, he got a big catch in the Super Bowl before he got hurt. I think that Deion Sanders would absolutely step in if Shedeur was on a collision course for the Browns. And quite frankly, I would get where he's coming from.
I mean, obviously, the Browns have some things going for them. They have Stefanski's a good offensive coach. They have Njoku's a good tight end. Like, their line, if it ever gets healthy again, is loaded. Like, they could be, like, Flacco, like, had 400 yards a game there. Basically, like, they're a bit of a sleeping giant offensively. They're just always hurt.
So, you know how we've talked about the Jets and how, like, one of the reasons why you were not as high on the Jets this year, or that you had questions about the Jets, is not because Rodgers, not because any of the big talent they have, but because of the Jets.
Right.
And the Jets will always find the banana peel. Do we not think the Browns also find the banana peel? I get they made the playoffs last year. I know that.
Of course.
So if Deion is going to step in, wouldn't this be the spot?
I don't know. Well, tell me a more functional spot that's realistically where he's going to land.
Who are the top 3 draft? I mean,
Okay,
I know the Raiders
right now,
are not a picnic
Number
either.
1 is the Patriots. They're out. So you're looking at Carolina, Cleveland, Tennessee. The Jets are 5th, Saints, and the Jags are not going to do it. Then the Raiders. So you're looking at like a Raiders-Panthers kind of mix.
I'm not saying they're great options, but I don't love Cleveland. And you're in that division.
But I put Cleveland over both those teams. I put them over the Panthers and the Raiders.
Oh, man.
I think people,
Panthers
I
get, but
you
Raiders?
got Andrew Barry at GM. I think there's reasons to be at least interested in Cleveland. If you had to power rank those 3 destinations, you would put Cleveland 3rd out of Carolina, Vegas, and the Browns?
Carolina's very bad. I get that. I would not want my son to go play for Cleveland. I wouldn't.
How about the Raiders?
It's going to derail his career.
I'll give you a choice. Browns or Raiders?
Here's the only thing about the Raiders. I don't love it. I don't. But if I'm Deion, I probably think I may have some influence. And Tom Brady might be there, and maybe Tom Brady helps. Now, maybe Tom Brady's the next Derek Jeter, who went to the Miami Marlins, and they didn't do jack. So maybe it doesn't matter. But maybe Tom Brady gives a little more credibility to the Raiders.
Brady is Shedeur's mentor.
That's true, too.
So
But again, is Brady going to be at every
time.
practice? Is he going to be on the sidelines? I don't know if he's any good at this. You know, John Elway was one of the greatest quarterbacks we all ever saw, and he couldn't pick a quarterback to save his life. So I don't know.
But I don't get the impression that Deion would spurn, like, Brady's been helping Shedeur since he was in high school. I can't imagine that he would step in and be like, no, you're not going to go to the Raiders.
Feels like he'd love to go. Deion in Vegas sounds like a match made.
Exactly.
Yeah, the city definitely makes a little bit more sense. A lot of flash.
Why did it be clear? Like, Cleveland has a significant amount more talent than the Raiders. I mean, significant. Like, they basically have the bones of a 10-win team for sure. They have Myles Garrett. They have all sorts of players there. Like Njoku, like the same team that went 11-6 is still basically there. They're just hurt compared to the Raiders.
I'm telling you, I don't trust either team, but I would imagine Deion would step in for Cleveland. That's just me. 855-212-4227. Bogish is here with headlines for us. What's up, dude?
Guys, on opening night in Philadelphia, the Sixers got 0 combined points from Joel Embiid and Paul George. The Bucks got 55 from Giannis and Dame.
Here's a three-pointer from Lillard, and he strikes again. His assault continues from three-point range. Dame now sitting with 29 points on his 6th made three-pointer tonight. 92-73.
Dave Kane on Bucks Radio. Lillard with 30. Giannis 25 plus 14 boards and 7 assists in a 124-109 cruise through Philly. Embiid and George out injured. As we've discussed this morning, the NBA is expected to make sure that the Sixers are not violating the league's player participation rules by holding out Embiid this week. This was head coach Nick Nurse pregame.
He did not re-injure himself, but the plan is. We don't feel like he's quite ready, strong enough, light enough, whatever it is that they've determined that he's not quite ready to go, hasn't been in any full court scrimmages, etc.
Strong enough or light enough. All in the same sentence.
He also said the plan about 4 times in 24 seconds. We've gone from the process to the plan
Thank
with the
God.
Sixers. Yeah.
Let's have a different catchphrase.
Now, the league does usually check out why big-name players miss national TV games, and last night was on ESPN. So the level of suspicion the NBA has over this is unclear at the moment. The Warriors opened their season with a 139-104 beating of the Blazers in Portland. Steph Curry, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists in just 3 quarters of work. Donovan Mitchell scored 21 in the Cavs' 136-106 rout of the Raptors. The Grizzlies topped the Jazz, 126-124, behind 22 points and 10 helpers from Ja Morant. And the Hawks outscored the Nets 120-116. Number 1 pick, Zachary Risacher, debuted with 7 points, 2 of 8 shooting. The highest-ranked group of 5 team gets a spot in the expanded college football playoff. That could have been Liberty until last night.
Come on, defense. Massive prevent here from the Flames on 35. Snap, 3-man rush. Salter throws right side, caught by Gray. Laterals it back. Falls off the ground. Gray picks it up. He's stumped. Ball comes out. Kennesaw State can now rush the field. Give me Liberty.
And what?
Great call.
The final
Great
call on the Kennesaw State Radio Network as the Owls upset the Flames 27-24. Liberty's 17-game regular season winning streak is over, and Kennesaw State gets its first win over an FBS opponent since moving up from FCS. The school only started playing football 9 years ago. So there you go.
That's amazing.
Conference USA, Wednesday night action, fairly significant upset.
Give me Liberty. What a call. And bummer for Liberty. But, yeah. I mean, this is what happens. I think sometimes you have to play on a Wednesday. It throws teams off.
Did they have so to do that, you have to have a bye the week before, obviously, right? But the MAC teams know how to play Wednesday. That's their jam.
That's true. Do they play Wednesdays or Thursdays?
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right? Definitely Tuesday and
Definitely
Wednesday.
Tuesdays.
They play Wednesdays.
Yeah, and you don't play the Saturday before. I guess you don't play the weekend before or after?
I would hope not.
I know, only the NFL is that crazy.
Yeah. It's not Christmas in the NFL. It's college football.
So it's give me Liberty or give me death is the back end of that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't finish off the sentence.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was super clever.
It's a 4-touchdown spread in that game.
Wow.
I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I was a Liberty player and I lost that game. 0-6 or whatever they were coming in.
No, I get it. But this is why college football is awesome. Not so much for Liberty this morning. I get that.
Is it, though? I don't think this was awesome.
You don't?
No, you want to see Liberty try to get a shot at one of these big dogs.
Yeah, but they clearly overlooked Kennesaw State.
Right, but to me, and now maybe Liberty probably isn't the best, whatever, non-qualifier, whatever you want to call them. But if they are, you want to see them beat all these scrub teams so that they can get to play against Penn State and upset them in the first round.
This is why you play the games. You can't just roll out the red carpet for Liberty. They got to earn it.
I know. I'm not saying they didn't earn it. I'm just saying it just I don't like this. I didn't say this. I looked at this and my brother texted me. He's like, "Is Liberty serious right now?" And I said, "Yeah, this sucks." It's like when I don't know. It's like when a great mid-major loses in the conference championship game in March Madness to Siena. And you're like, well, Siena's gonna get smoked in the first round.
You don't determine the outcome.
I know.
But if you're rooting like I am for the Army-Navy mania,
right?
This
helps.
outcome.
Right.
Sign me up for this.
Right, but if Army loses to Temple, we're gonna be like, we're not gonna say, oh, that was awesome. It's gonna suck.
Yeah, that's a good point. We can't have Army lose one.
Yeah, we need these mid-majors to be really good.
I have a little bit of an issue. I feel like I want 3 mid-majors into the final 12 because I want Army, I want Navy, and I want Boise State.
Well, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The SEC and the Big Ten are going to cry and whine that they need as many teams
they
as
won't
possible.
Get them. They won't get them. And obviously this UNLV game this weekend is a huge deal. So there's not enough room. I feel like EJ does bring up a good point. There's a bunch of teams we want to see get this spot.
And you know what's going to happen now, guys. You keep
16,
talking like this.
16.
There you go.
Have a play-in tournament.
Pretty soon it's going to be 68.
If it's 16, it's still not going to have more than one of these schools in it, though.
Are you sure?
so?
I think 2 could have snuck in this year. I mean, there's 2 teams. There are 3 in the top 25, right? Army, Navy, and Boise State are all there.
They begrudgingly give 1 out of 12 spots. I don't know that you're guaranteed to get another one with adding 4 more schools. That's what gets Arkansas in.
This is the carrot that they will use to try to, get public support for expanding the college football playoff.
And then never mind.
Yeah, well, and then it's like, then Arkansas's got to get in, and every other mid in a power conference.
My bold prediction is we get 2.
I think it could happen.
I think
this
Boise
year.
gets what would have been like, or I guess Army would get that large.
I mean, they do. I think Genty is a big draw for these. If does ESPN run this thing, they're going to want a service academy, and they're going to want Genty in this playoff. Because like, who cares, right? If I don't know, like if BYU loses a Big 12 title game, but they really need them in the no shot against BYU, but
or do we really need Iowa State in the playoff? Like, is that a thing we really need? Or Texas A&M? Like,
by the way,
those are the teams you're talking.
I feel nervous because I think we're on in some of these markets.
I know. I
need
mean,
for health, need for.
That's a great point. Like if A&M doesn't beat LSU and doesn't get to the SEC title game, do we need to see them? Because you give me Army or Navy, yes. Hello.
I'll bet you $1 million what happens.
You think SEC?
Who do you think's running the college football playoff committee? Because there's always a. This is what the SEC and the Big Ten have over everybody. They can always say, "Fine, bleep you. We're just going to do our own thing." You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. It's man. Why does this always happen?
Well, I mean, first of all, wait. If one of the service academies beats Notre Dame,
oh well, if Navy beats Notre Dame this weekend, then it's on.
It's definitely like 2 is on. I'm telling you right now, because I think if Boise State wins out, then they're definitely in. I mean,
they should be.
They have the Heisman Trophy winner. They're going to let them in. And then if either Navy or Army beats Notre Dame, then I think they'll have a strong case to get in. So, we can have 2. And EJ will be happy. No Liberty, though.
No Liberty. And no death.
You guys are just discussing the Browns. Jameis Winston's their starting QB this weekend, and OC Ken Dorsey takes over play-calling duties from head coach Kevin Stefanski. Just one game on ice last night. The Caps swept a home-and-home with the Flyers, 6-3 in D.C., Washington has won 5 in a row overall. And an update this morning on one of my favorite recent stories. Remember when Rashee Rice's mom was accused of stealing a neighbor's package off the front door of their apartment? An arrest warrant was issued for Marcia Carney around October 8th. She turned herself into police after that. It's a misdemeanor charge of theft. But the police did get involved, and there is a charge, a very minor one. But the very least we can do after seeing her tiptoe past the door and kick the package away from the door down the hallway so she could pick it up out of sight.
The public embarrassment is punishment enough in this case, right?
I guess so.
That was.
Do you have any shame
cringy.
if you're a porch pirate? And she's now the face of porch piracy.
And she was wearing her son's T-shirt, too.
It said Rashee's mom, I think, on the back, on the nameplate. It was a Chiefs 4 jersey.
Who does not have shame.
I'm surprised she even kicked the box away from the door and just pick it up and go, thank you. And
imagine how many others she's probably picked up. I mean, hate to do this, but the odds that this is the first time you ever did it and you get caught on camera. Also, don't you just assume you're on camera all the time now? Maybe it's because we do a public thing for a living. Maybe you're a little bit more aware of it. Ring cameras. I'm not trying to make a commentary about Big Brother or anything like that. I'm just saying I feel like I'm on camera all the time.
I told you my grand jury experience without giving away too many details. I saw on video a guy shoot somebody in the head and then walk around the city for 45 minutes and on camera the whole time. It was quite traumatic, by the way.
Yeah, geez, bro.
No, I mean, that was like, you have no idea how much is on film, and it's all graphic, and you can't do it. You're absolutely right. If you're outdoors, you're caught. Now, this was indoors, too. If you're in an apartment building, I was surprised you have such an issue with porch pirates. I didn't know that was...
I think that's a despicable thing to do.
It really is.
It's a horrible thing to do. You got to be... This is the low. Like, we're living in a society, people. You know, listen, someone knocks off a liquor store. I'm not in favor of that. You rob a bank. That's people who are criminals. This is this petty thievery that is just so appalling to me. Somebody else's property.
You also don't even know what
What's
you're taking.
in it?
Like you go to the liquor store to get money, or the
Right.
bank. You go there. I'm going to get money. I'm going to steal some diamonds from a jewelry store. You're just walking by a door and going, I'm going to grab that box, and maybe it's something good, or maybe it's completely useless to me.
It's almost like the game of it. You know how like some of the really popular videos on YouTube are called unboxings, where people just like open stuff. It's big for kids because it's toys, but they do this with baseball cards and all this, the unboxing, and it's the surprise. Like, oh, ice skates. Like, what? Size 5. Well, I'm a size 10, as you guys know, so I can't wear them, but oh, pens and pencils. Like, what else? Oh, my hemorrhoid cream. Like, what do you want?
Well, I just say it is a little funny that we have so much faith in this Amazon world of ours. Like, when I was growing up, like, you wouldn't leave a microwave oven out on your porch. Like, somebody would take it. I just think, like, the whole system is kind of wacky. It's like, why would we have faith that you can leave these expensive products on your door?
But
we should.
I don't know if it's even
You
expensive
should have faith.
necessarily. It's just whatever's in the box. No one knows what it is.
You saying you shouldn't?
No, you should be able to trust that, like, if something's left at your front door, it's going to make it a couple of hours until you get home from work.
But why? Like, would you leave would you leave like an expensive watch out on the sidewalk for 2 hours and trust that no one's going to take it?
Well,
Or
but we're not talking about stealing Rolex. We're talking about stealing an
Yeah.
Amazon package of like toilet paper or a pack of pens. Like
Your
that's
cat food or
It's just,
something.
it's just an incredibly insecure system to me. It always has been. Like, especially in our apartment building, there's tons and tons of boxes, and all these people walk in and out all day. Like, I'm like, God, it's amazing that anything ever gets up to our apartment, because it is quite a crazy system if you actually pull back and look at it.
My apartment building, I don't know how many times, like, there are signs up front in the lobby. If you took my package, like, I will cut you. Like, people who are just so mad, like, they write angry messages because someone stole their package. They just finally put cameras in the lobby, so at least the lobby's more secure, I guess. But it's crazy. Like, people don't care. They'll just take whatever and go on with their day.
I mean, I live in New York City where, there is so much there's so much crime going on. The fact that any package gets up to a door, like, you can't leave a bike locked out on the street with a normal lock. There's a 90% chance that will get stolen within 10 minutes.
Oh, did I ever tell you one of the funniest things I walked by was, how people have bike locks, they lock up their bikes. I once saw a walker locked up with a lock.
How'd they get in the
lock.
building?
I was like, what a world we live in if someone would steal another person's walker. Like for an elderly person.
How would the elderly person, or maybe they're just injured, how'd they get in the building?
I don't know, but they locked up their walker outside. I have a photo of it in my phone. I had to take a picture. I'll find it for you guys.
That almost feels like a social experiment. Like, they were, because I'm just trying to figure out the mechanisms of this.
Right,
Like,
why would
that
need it
person
inside?
would need it inside, you would think.
I'll show you the photo.
Wow.
Didn't seem like a stunt to me.
Maybe they got a ride somewhere.
I mean, unless did they
They
jump in a
maybe
car?
gone into a restaurant that was only like 10 feet away and then came back.
But the funny thing, too, is like, the kind of tracks in New York City.
I don't know. I'd probably lock it up.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, Rashee Rice's mom turned herself in and hopefully learned a valuable lesson.
I'm going to assume not.
Keep your mitts off people's property. Oh, look.
It was Chapel Roan Records, right? That's why you're mad. Your favorite.
Hey, look, it's someone's Halloween costume. Great.
Mine came the other day, by the way. I am very excited for it.
Can we get a hint?
Nope. But I thought of an addition to the costume like just yesterday, so I'm even more excited.
You won't give us a hint?
Nope. It fits. It looks great. My kids think it's hilarious. And then they add a twist. Love it.
Wow.
I hope none of us are the same thing.
I think I'm safe.
What are you going to be, Pro?
I have my costume.
What undercarriage exposing athlete are you going to be?
It's going to be something.
Yeah, you might want.
Never wear short shorts until all of a sudden it's Halloween, and then
upper
Daisy
thighs come on
Dukes.
out.
HR, Perloff's off that day. Don't listen to the show.
HR already gave me a pass on last year. Now I'm emboldened.
There's an extra section in our HR video this year about Halloween costumes and making sure everything is covered.
Sections of Perloff.
Bogish, I feel bad for you.
Yeah, I feel bad for me.
Someone's getting something over the shoulder for the second year in a row.
It's getting two things over the shoulder.
One for each, or
Wow. It's going to be a heck of a Ronald McDonald costume. I'm just kidding. Okay. We've got to get to this crazy story. One NFL player missing practice for an insane reason. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
A plain bagel or two. There's a thief on the block, it's no damn surprise. Caught on camera with those sneaky ass eyes. Where she writes mom, yeah, she made the news. Snatching up boxes like she paid her fucking dues. Is it Peter Pilati taking those fucking packs? He's never at work, could be leaving tracks. Perloff's out here blaming the folks, but it's Pilati who's a sneaky ass bloke. Bloke! Amazon packages just fucking disappear. Perloff says, hey, don't live in fear. Blame yourself, don't whine or shout. But it's Pilati who's the sneaky ass bloke. Amazon packages just fucking disappear. Perloff says, hey, don't live in fear. Blame yourself, don't whine or shout. But it's Pilati who's the sneaky ass bloke. Is it Peter Pilati taking those fucking packs? He's never at work, could be leaving tracks. Perloff's out here blaming the folks, but it's Pilati who's a sneaky ass bloke. Bloke! Next time your package goes missing real quick, look for Pilati pulling that slick ass trick. Missing real quick. Look for Pilati pulling that slick ass trick.
30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
That music. Time for our Cowboy Quickie. This has nothing to do with Jerry Jones. Has nothing to do with Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, or CeeDee Lamb, Pearl.
Wow.
Yet,
who's left?
Another Cowboy making news yesterday. And he might be the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Brandon Aubrey is the all-pro kicker for the Dallas Cowboys. Super clutch, Pearl.
Oh, dude, it's got unlimited range.
Great story, too. Soccer player, Notre Dame, the whole deal. Anyway, was a flame out in MLS. Decides to try football on a whim, and here we are. He's missed practice yesterday, and apparently he's going to be missing quite a few practices. Why? Because he's a juror on a felony strangulation case.
Mm-hmm.
That's serious. So he's going to miss yesterday's practice, Thursday and Friday, and maybe even longer because there's no clear timetable for the length of the trial. Apparently, the Cowboys did try to get Aubrey out of jury duty, but he insisted on doing it.
Uh-huh.
Civic duty, Perloff. That's your Cowboy Quickie. Brandon Aubrey is currently on a 12-person jury in a felony strangulation case.
Yeah, so here's my question. What, and actually, I've seen him before, and I've seen a lot of practices. Like, what does a kicker need practice for in week 8? Basically, you line up and you kick the ball.
I was about to say something, but I don't actually know. The only thing I do know about kickers is that it appears to me they are very much creatures of habit.
Yeah.
So this is, well, you're not practicing. It's definitely going to throw you off a little bit. But I guess good on Brandon Aubrey as a person and as a citizen for doing your civic duty here and being on this jury.
Yeah, if it was any other position, this would be a major crisis. For a kicker, it's like, yeah.
I don't think Micah Parsons, if he were healthy, would be able to pull the same thing.
Yeah, no, there's nobody. Jake Ferguson, you name them, they'd have to go to practice. The kicker is fine.
Well, and he's an all-pro, so he's got a little bit of leverage maybe too. Like, what, are you going to cut me? Like, again, he might be one of the best players they have.
You cannot fire somebody because they're on jury duty.
Right. Well, I didn't even know that, but that's great. I'm
no,
glad
it's
we have
a
those
huge.
protections.
You haven't had a show. Oh, you had one recently.
No, I've gotten called for jury duty, and this was several years ago when you and I were at Sports Illustrated, and I thought I was getting close to being on this jury. And they said, what else do you want to tell us? And I said, I've been telling everybody about this case, all the details. I've been sharing it with everybody.
They've been trying to sort of not let people use the usual excuses to get out. In New York, even, they're like, Mayor Adams has to serve jury duty. Like, everybody, like the governor had to serve jury duty. Like, they were trying to be real strict about it, but I still see a lot of excuses. I had jury duty. They said, like, if you basically don't show up, we're putting you in jail. We're charging you for contempt. It's a brutal penalty to me, being on jury duty. It really messed up a whole year of my life. I had to be there for a month, and I was like, why me? I felt really victimized, which was stupid, but I had 28 days of jury duty.
It was brutal when you were doing it because our schedules are such that it's hard for us to get a lot of sleep. So you were never able to get any nap in because you're sitting there.
Luckily, it was a morning shift, so I could do the show and then go to jury duty. And we used to be on the afternoon. Anyway, it's a tough thing, but I was really struck by the story. The only caveat being, like, does a kicker really need practice? But you know what's so funny that you just said it? Brandon Aubrey might be the best player on that team right now. I mean, he's not really because he's a kicker. I mean, Micah Parsons is still pretty good if he gets out there.
I guess pound for pound. If you put it that way, pound for pound.
Yeah.
What is he better at what he does?
Yeah.
Than what Dak Prescott does what he does.
Well, Justin Tucker's the GOAT, and he was never the best player on the Ravens.
Aubrey's playing the best on the Cowboys. I think you could say that.
He's a weapon, man. Yeah. He can hit from 60 or basically 60.
Well, yeah, but it's still a kicker.
No, I get it.
Who has the most points?
Oh, well, the kicker leads every organization in points, right?
Yeah, I know, but if I gave you a choice, like you could keep one of these 15 players and Aubrey's on the list, you're taking the other 14 before him.
I was
would
thinking
hope.
also considering how big the Cowboys are. I mean, every NFL team is big in their own city, but the Cowboys are huge. How big of a distraction is it to have any Cowboy player, let alone a good one? Is that a distraction for the rest of the jury and everyone else on the trial? It's like having a celebrity there. It's a Dallas Cowboys player in Texas.
Yeah, it's a kicker. That's what I'll say. It's a kicker.
Yeah, by the way, Brandon Aubrey, like we're talking about him, I'm not really sure what he looks like with his helmet off. He could probably walk in here.
Looks like a soccer player.
There's a storyline in Love is Blind of a former kicker being on the show.
An NFL kicker?
No, college, D1.
Okay.
And the woman, because he told the woman that he was a football player, but he did tell her that he was a kicker. But he said, "Oh, I'm athletic or whatever." And then she sees him and she's like, "Kind of thought he'd be a little more bulky, a little more strong." And I keep yelling to my TV screen, "He's a kicker! What did you expect?"
Yeah, the punters are the ones who are usually a little more jacked. Not the kickers. Jeez, lady, get a clue. 855-212-4227. There you go. Brandon Aubrey doing his civic duty, serving on a jury, even though Cowboys got a big game against the 49ers this weekend. Bud. Coming up next, quarterback's coming back. Who is it? Will it matter? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Gotta be honest, I'm really torn about this next story. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I don't know how to feel, Pearl, about Tua Tagovailoa playing in a professional football game this weekend. Now listen, it's his choice. He can make whatever choice he wants to make. I'm not here to tell him what to do. I just don't know how I feel about it because I already watched this show 2 years ago when Tua got a concussion and then quickly got another one where he was carted off the field and taken off in an ambulance. And now he's back. And yeah, he might go the rest of the season and be fine, but he might not. And I'm feeling very torn about this as a sports fan. How about you?
I'm not feeling torn. I put nothing into the Dolphins' future. This is never going to work. He's going to get hurt eventually, and they're just spinning their wheels. I'm just curious, does he get so hurt that they can get out of that contract and have another quarterback? What are we doing here?
Well, here's the thing, though. You have a lot of people talking very positively about Tua getting back on the field. One of them is Tyreek Hill. Not exactly the world's best messenger, but here is Tyreek Hill. Ryan, if we can hear a little, he's very excited to have Tua back on the field.
We're back, baby. Strike up the band. We're back, baby. Start me this week, baby. Let's go.
Tyreek Hill, obviously very excited. He said Tua looks great since he's been back.
That's just Tua, bro. Like, he's sharp, bro. Everything he do, he's sharp, bro. Especially in football, bro. He's going to be accurate. Ball's going to be catchable real good, soft in your hands, like on time, all of that. It's going to be sharp, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's expected, bro.
Okay, more from Tyreek Hill said Tua's super important to the Dolphins offense.
Tua is that guy. He's that deal, man. You know, he's a big part of this team, bro. I'm going to keep saying that. Every guy in this locker room knows that. Now, obviously, when we go play a game, like, it's next man up. That's the mentality all day. But when Tua is a part of this offense, can't nobody stop us, bro. We should score every drive. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it, bro. We got too much talent.
Also, Tyreek Hill making sure to tell everybody, start me in fantasy this week. So, yeah, is it about Tua or is it about you? Anyway, that's Tyreek Hill, Perloff. So he's feeling the excitement. And I'm just wondering, is it too late for the Dolphins? So, they are obviously 2-4. They've got the Arizona Cardinals this weekend at home, then Buffalo, then the Rams, then Vegas, then New England. There are some very winnable games on the schedule. Can they get themselves back into this thing?
I'm not a believer at all. I wasn't a believer in the Dolphins coming into the season. Yeah, they're going to have some nice moments, but I just don't think, first of all, it's not just Tua who gets hurt on that team. Everybody gets hurt. Tyreek Hill got hurt last year and it totally kind of gutted their offense in the latter part of the season. Their whole defense is still kind of trying to get its feet underneath them. I just don't buy the way this team is built. It feels very top-heavy with a lot of guys who are older who are going to get hurt. I I don't believe they're going to stay healthy.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to get back in this thing. I just don't think this is the last we've heard of them. Now, obviously, the major caveat. Obviously, Tua has to stay healthy. One more from Tyreek Hill, actually, Ryan. Can we play cut 3? The advice that he gave to Tua is that he's got to slide more.
Damn right. Tell his ass all the time. When we were playing against the Colts, you seen the fans start clapping for Anthony Richards when he slid. I said, our fans need to clap for Tua, make him slide. We need you, bro. Next play. Come on.
I don't know if that's
real,
be
bro. It's
it,
real. And we love him. From brother to brother, we love him. Like, he's a huge part of this team.
Is it just as easy as sliding? He's not going to wear the Guardian cap, although I don't know how much those really protect you in a game situation as opposed to a practice situation. But
hasn't the data been promising on the Guardian cap? I mean, what could it hurt? It's just another 2 inches on your helmet.
Oh, it definitely can't hurt you. I just don't know how much does it really protect you. We had Chris Nowinski on the show the day after Tua's bad concussion, and he was kind of lukewarm on whether that would really make a huge difference. Anyway, like you said, it can't hurt. But if he does find a way to protect himself, I think they can get back in here. It's not because the Dolphins are such an amazing team. It's because I'm looking at the schedule and I'm looking at games they can win. You're telling me they can't beat the Raiders at home?
Yeah, so they
Miami?
They do have the give-me's like the Raiders and the Patriots, but there are some tough games on here. At Buffalo, I know you think
they can split. Well, no, sorry, Buffalo already beat them the first meeting.
I mean, at Houston, San Francisco. I think the Jets probably should be a better team by the end of the year.
Are you sure about that?
I don't know. I feel like Devontae, they should be better. It feels like a long road. And even once they do, the other thing too is, what are we talking about here? They get to the wild card game and lose again.
So here's a question then off of that. If this season becomes one that, they say they do get back into it, they do get the wild card game, they lose. Does Mike McDaniel get fired?
No, not if he gets to play. He just got extended.
Right, but you have an owner who is older, an owner who is already aggressive to the point with tampering with Tom Brady, trying to get Sean Payton. I mean, there was a lot of things they were trying to do to make the team better in a hurry, and none of those have worked so far. You're going to have Belichick out there. Again, I ask you, is Mike McDaniel going to be on the hot seat? I'm not saying he deserves to be. I just don't trust that ownership group. And I wonder if there is a world where Belichick is looked at as a saving grace there.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm a sucker, but you can't sign him to a 3-year extension through 2028 and then fire him the next
Why?
off.
It has nothing on your salary cap. It's money for a billionaire. What do they care?
I don't know. It was sort of they were sending a message to Mike McDaniel that we support you. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be a little bit odd. That was really 1 year into no years into a 3-year extension to cut him now. It seems like they like Mike McDaniel, even though what we saw last week was kind of embarrassing. Him joking around with his players in a loss, not good. I would be willing to bet that he survives this. Now, Chris Greer might be in trouble, their GM, but generally, though, that'd be weird. You don't see this as odd to extend him and then fire him?
I don't trust anything that the Dolphins ownership would do.
What you say that? Like, what crazy
stable.
things have they done?
Well, they definitely got a draft pick docked because they were tampering with Brady.
Which was smart. They should have signed Brady.
Okay, and why was the reason they got smoked out of that is because Brian Flores, who ended up suing them, wouldn't play ball. I think
they traded for Bradley Chubb, and he had a massive injury.
That made sense, though. I mean, there wasn't a crazy move by any means.
Not crazy, but they have not made good moves.
Yeah, but the Chubb one was pure injury. If he was healthy, he'd be really good.
How about paying Tua? Does that look like it's working out?
You're the one who just said they're back in the playoffs with Tua. Yeah,
but here's the thing about Tua. We knew about the injury history.
But we were all, I don't remember everyone crying out, this is a crazy contract at the time.
Oh, come on. I mean, it's not about Tua's ability. It's about his availability.
Do you remember the day Tua signed this summer? There was a big outcry. Yeah, we were all like, I think last season did make us all a little complacent on Tua's injuries.
Well, and then he lost all the weight that he had gained. And we thought, that's weird. You and I definitely talked about that.
We definitely talked about it. But I don't think that was like, oh, this is a bad idea. I don't remember the national temperature being like, this is a huge mistake. The fact that none of these $50 million deals did anyone. Daniel Jones, people did know that was a bad mistake. But generally, all these deals got signed. Everyone's like, okay, I understand it. That's where the market is.
You know, it's funny you bring up Daniel Jones because the Giants owner yesterday was doing some kind of red carpet event for something. And he gave a vote of confidence for Brian Daboll and for Joe Shane.
Yeah.
But did that little caveat, I'm not going to make a change now, this season. We talked about Belichick on just being out there, right? Kind of hovering over this whole thing. I just said if Mike McDaniel might get fired, maybe they bring in Belichick. I think it's still alive for the Giants, too. I think he's going to have a ton of people giving him a call. 855-212-4227.
Yeah, the one we disagree about is the Eagles. I was reading more about his connections to Howie Roseman. Like, he is definitely in Howie's ear all the time. You could, Mike Florio just wrote about this. You could track where Belichick is looking by what he says about certain teams.
I agree.
Like, he's totally managing this thing.
Yeah.
And I think basically he probably heard from Mara, like, hey, we're not calling you because we're keeping Shane. And now he's out there tearing Shane to pieces in the media.
855-212-4227. All right, so we got it going with the Miami Dolphins. Tua coming back this weekend. Can Miami get themselves back into this thing? EJ, it looks like you want to say something.
I'm just thinking about back on the Chris Greer era. I think it's been very mid. This is not a team that I think people thought you could be satisfied. I think he's one game over 500 his entire time at the Dolphins. And it's been a while now. We're talking about 5 or 6 years at least.
Yeah, the GM.
Yeah, so while he hasn't made a crazy, out-of-the-box crazy move, this was a team that was moving towards Super Bowl contention. There was a lot of people Super Bowls picked a couple years ago and last year. And they're going backwards, similar to what we said about the Raiders. I don't know if that regime is as safe as maybe we would think, but at the same time, maybe he can say, hey, it's not my fault Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips got hurt. But he did draft Jalen Phillips, the guy who had a massive injury history. I know he's a Miami Hurricane.
Yeah, good player, though.
Really good player, but an injury history. And, the Chubb thing was unfortunate, but you gave up a first-round pick for him, right?
Everything, this is from miles and miles away. It seems like everybody really likes Chris Greer, though. So I feel like I know the owner really likes him. It's one of those situations where, is that a relationship that is superseding the actual results? Because you're right, the results have been disappointing. But if, you know how owners are. If they like the guy, then he can stick around. Look at Jerry Jones or Jason Garrett.
No, I get it. I just think that if you were already flirting with Sean Payton, he seems like someone who you would bring in not just to coach, but also to be involved with personnel decisions. So how much do they really love the guy if they were about to bring in or would have maybe brought in a coach who could have usurped a lot of the front office power?
Chris Greer is 69 and 68 in 9 seasons with the Dolphins. I can't believe it's been 9 years.
Well, he's actually been there. I know this because I always thought he's from the Patriots, right? He came up in the Patriots, but he left when Belichick came in and went to the Dolphins. So he's actually been there for 25 years.
Wow.
This is him as general manager.
Yeah, but right, he's been there for a long, long time. And that makes me think he must be really close to the owner.
855-212-4227. There you go. Tua's coming back this week. They're going to play Arizona. That's a home game. Then they go to Buffalo, then the Rams and the Raiders. That's the next 4. 855-212-4227. You can watch the show. YouTube.com/Infinity Sportsnet. Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. And if you have not already downloaded the absolutely free Odyssey app, I cannot recommend it more highly. It is perfect. Functions beautifully. If you're in a spot where kind of the reception goes in and out a little bit, that's fine. You can always download the app. It is awesome. Okay, coming up next. Oh my God. Just a funny story that I did not think we would be talking about today, but lo and behold, here we are. We'll get to that next. All right. I'm going to let you brag about this one, Perloff.
Yeah. Do you know who I hit on last night? Miami Heat rookie, our second-year player. I'm all about Jaime Jaquez over 8.5 points. I'm like, you're going to hold Jaime to 8.5? No way. I am red hot in Prize Picks. I'm loving all the different options, all the different sports. Prize Picks, it's always good, but in the fall, it's just the best.
Yeah, because every sport basically is going on. So if you want to do hockey, if you want to do especially NBA, we also got football, of course, and Prize Picks is the best way to get real money sports action while you watch these sports. So what do? It's daily fantasy sports that's accessible to all. So you pick 2 or more players across any sport, then you just pick more or less on their projection, and you could win up to 100 times your money. I kid you not. Perloff came in this morning, didn't even say good morning to me, just goes, Jaime Jaquez is the man.
Yep.
He helped me win my prize picks last night.
Yeah, and you know where I'm going tonight. He's back. My favorite player, the guy I saw coming from miles away. Wemby over 11 rebounds.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. No, of course I was skeptical about Wemby, but I'm definitely picking him tonight. You can download the Prize Picks app today and use the code MNP to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code MNP on Prize Picks to get a $50 credit when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states where it's lawful to wager. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's gonna be a good day with Maggie and Perloff.
Welcome back to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. All right, I did not think that I'd be bringing up this person's name, well, ever, quite frankly, but here we are. And that person is a man by the name of José Canseco. Entertaining Twitter feed, that dude. Anyway, Perloff, this one caught my eye. This is what José Canseco put out on social media yesterday. He goes, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs, down by 3. Who do you want at the plate?
Okay. He did not specify time frame. Like, does it have to be a current player or a recently retired player or all-time player?
You think you're getting that kind of specifics from José Canseco? No, he's just... This is Jose just throwing it out there. Again, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs, down by 3. Who do you want at the plate to hit you a grand slam?
So...
I think it's all times, whatever you want. It's José Canseco's rules.
I was looking at I wanted to use analytics on this question, of course.
Yeah, just like Jose probably does.
Do you know, there are definitely a lot of clutch analytics. Do you know who the most clutch player is in MLB history?
Like Babe Ruth or something?
Nellie Fox.
Cool.
Now, I don't know much about Nellie Fox. I've heard the name. Tris Taylor is also on my list here. But I guess...
How about someone you've seen?
Okay.
If you
No, I know. Because obviously, I think you cross off Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth and Joe DiMaggio and all those guys because that's too hard. We don't really know those guys. The guy that honestly I do not want to see in that point, it's just because of like my era of baseball. I don't want to see Pujols. That's the one. Like I would not pitch to that guy when he was prime Pujols because he's so big and he towers over the plate. That's the one name that jumped to mind. I scratch Bonds off there immediately.
Why?
Because that's a cheat. Like, who cares? You can't answer the question with Barry Bonds.
The answer is definitely Barry Bonds, right?
But that's
that's
not how you answer that question because he was so blatantly cheating.
I mean, José Canseco's asking this question.
Well, if I said
you think he gives a crap? I think it's just the answer is definitely, to me, the answer is Bonds.
But if I said who's the greatest slugger of all time?
Ted Williams?
Slugger,
sorry, not hitter.
Home run hitter.
Bonds.
But you don't say that, though, because you saw what the real Barry Bonds was in Pittsburgh, and that was not the greatest home run hitter of all time. You saw the inflated Barry Bonds, and he was that doesn't count. You can't answer Barry Bonds.
So so you think Pujols because it was never linked.
Yeah, and you convinced me that you need a home run. Yeah, I don't know. Pujols is the clean modern hitter. I mean, you could go, who are the other clutch hitters? Like Jeter. I'm not going A-Rod. A-Rod obviously was not known as a clutch hitter.
Well, Jeter, though, the thing is that's not necessarily going to be a homer.
Right.
José Canseco did 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. You're down by 3.
Yeah. So I need a homer. I went
need a home run.
And I didn't go old time with like Luke Gehrig. So I went Pujols is the guy who jumped to my mind. I'm sticking with him. But you can't go Bonds. Does anyone here... Is Bonds the right answer? It feels
of course
like the wrong.
It's definitely the right answer, right?
Yeah, there's no ramifications of who's on steroids. He just said, who would you want? I want Barry Bonds juiced up on the cream and the clear and watch him hit a 450-foot home run.
But then your home runs...
You want him on a double dose.
Your World Series will always be a joke. Like that whole era of baseball is a total joke. Nobody takes it seriously.
That was the best era of baseball. What are you talking about?
I think people
you
want
might be
it back
young.
now.
Like it gutted the sport. It entirely changed the way baseball is.
It wasn't because of the play. It wasn't because of the play. It was because of the scandal.
Right.
Right. But
people liked watching.
At the time, it was all. Yeah, trust me, I was there for McGuire Sosa.
Right, exactly.
It was the greatest thing ever. But the fact that how awesome it was made it even worse when we turned out it was all pro wrestling and it didn't even mean anything.
Yeah, but I think this is where the generational thing we talk about when it comes to baseball. We all know they were on steroids. It was still awesome. Those guys were still great to watch. Like. Some of the best highlights are watching Barry Bonds hit 500-foot home runs in Yankee Stadium.
I never watch those because I'm like, that's just fake. Who cares?
Okay, but what about someone who, what do you do with David Ortiz? Because Big Papi could definitely be an answer to this question.
He's in the mix.
And, he says he never did.
He's in the Mitchell report.
Might say otherwise. He's going to waltz into the Hall of Fame, though.
Yeah,
also,
but he wasn't so blatant about it. It was the blatantness of Bonds.
His name was Big Papi.
Yeah, he was always big. Bonds we saw two Barry Bonds, two different people, completely different people.
How about there's another right answer here? Is there another right answer? The Reggie Jackson?
Well, is it a left-hand pitch or a right-handed pitch?
I don't.
Good question.
The splits.
It's a good question, actually.
Canseco didn't specify.
That's kind of old, but then if you're going to Reggie Jackson, then I could say, well, if we're going to go back, why don't we say Mickey Mantle?
You could say Mickey Mantle. Bogish, who do you have in this hypothetical that José Canseco put out on Twitter that I did not think we'd be talking about José Canseco today?
I think I have to pick Big Papi. He was my pick last week for this very question, kind of, was he?
Greatest postseason hitter of all time. That was our great
Got to
debate.
stay consistent.
I thought you were going to say Babe Ruth.
No.
I think my second option would be Manny Ramirez.
Manny was an awesome postseason.
And he hit a million grand slams.
He was also dirty.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Manny's even worse than Barry Bonds as an answer to this. I mean, Manny, you're just going to openly cheat? Like,
he hit 21
You're going to
grand
win this
slams.
World Series, and you're going to be a laughingstock.
Well, what about like a Kirk Gibson or someone? Kirk Gibson was remembered, I think, for one
homer. I don't know.
But he had really great postseason numbers. He hit 282, 7 homers, 21 RBI in the postseason.
When I think about this question,
Mets come to mind?
The Met that comes to mind, all right. And I'm not picking him, even though he's one of my all-time favorites, and Carlos Beltran. Not thinking about him. But I'm thinking there's a closer on the mound who's probably nasty, right? So I need someone who I think can hit anybody. So when you think you call these old school guys, I don't want to disrespect them, but like, are they hitting Emmanuel Clase? Like that's how I'm thinking. Like,
so then you got to pick Stanton.
You got to pick somebody,
Dude, those guys
modern hitter who I think could hit anybody. So
those
Bonds,
guys hit
Ramirez.
Bob Gibson off a 9-foot mound. Like, there were all these advantages for the pitcher back in the 60s and 70s. And those guys, like the pitcher, wasn't the mound high? Like Gibson, you think if you can hit Gibson and Nolan Ryan, you can hit Class A.
But you're probably not facing Nolan Ryan or Bob Gibson. I mean, they have to make it to the 9th inning.
Well, they generally did.
A lot of times they did. Not always, but yeah.
Is there also a Joe Carter? I mean, you're just thinking about
Well,
people.
you're going on individual home runs. I mean, if you got to pick like the top, there's only 4 guys who've ever hit 700 home runs. So I think you would want one of those 4. I mean, we should really go Hank Aaron, too.
Hank Aaron should definitely be in this. So anyway, this was José Canseco said, bases loaded, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, down by 3. Who do you want at the plate?
I mean, if you're just completely allowing steroids, then let's get full McGuire Sosa 1998 in there, too. I mean, put Sosa up there. I mean, you can't have Barry Bonds as the answer to this
but
question.
I think there's a part of this question. What I like about it is maybe not the steroids part, but that's always going to play in. It's the clutch part, too.
Yeah, right.
Because there's a lot of hitters. You mentioned it. A-Rod was not known to be a great clutch hitter.
Nope. He's 5th all-time in home runs.
And he's 5th all-time in home runs.
But you knock him off because of that issue.
Exactly. So the numbers don't tell the story. Like, there's a element of who's actually come through in these big situations.
Well,
that matters.
Of the top all-time home run hitters, I think Pujols was good. I remember he hit that ball off Brad Lidge that is still in the air, I think. It was 23 years ago. So a Big Papi, I think, is a really good answer as well because of the clutch. There are a lot of, like, Kirk Gibson's a clutch player, but you get one player. You need a huge slugger. Anyway.
Right. Let us know what you think. 855-212-4227. Bogues, what's up?
Well, on paper, it looks much better than Saints-Broncos. It is Vikings-Rams in L.A. on this Thursday night. Kevin O'Connell was the Rams' offensive coordinator before he was Minnesota's head coach. His old boss, Sean McVay, not surprised to see the Vikings tied for first in the NFC North.
Kevin's a guy that was a tremendous positive impact influence, as a made a tremendous influence and impact as a coach here. I'm not surprised, and I'm happy for those guys, and, we'll give them our best shot on Thursday.
McVay's offense should have Cooper Kupp tonight. He and his ankle no longer on the injury report, but there is that trade speculation. James Harden began his season by missing the potential game winner at the end of regulation, missing the tying free throw late in overtime, and then turned the ball over to end the Clippers' last chance. They lose to the Suns 116-113 in OT in their first game in the new Intuit Dome. Ty Lue had fun nonetheless.
It was great. I mean, the environment was great. Our fans was great. Wish we could have capped it off with a win, but, it was a great environment.
That's Clippers basketball. Kevin Durant led Phoenix with 25. Bradley Beal had 24. The Heat dedicated their court to Pat Riley, then lost to the Magic 116-97. Jimmy Butler, maybe on purpose, just 3 points on 1 of 8 shooting. The Pelicans beat the Bulls 123-111, but DeJounte Murray broke his left hand in that game. The Bucks won in Philly 124-109 with Joel Embiid and Paul George missing for the Sixers. As mentioned a few times this morning, the NBA is expected to investigate if Embiid missing the first week of the season for left knee management violates the league's player participation rules.
Maggie asked me a great question last night. What's the difference between Joel Embiid missing this game and Kawhi Leonard always missing games? To me, they're different because I feel like, and I'm probably a sucker, Kawhi Leonard is always really hurt because he missed the playoffs last year. I feel like that dude is really hurt. That's more than just load management. Like his knees are shot.
Right. I was talking about Kawhi Leonard the year they won the title in Toronto.
Yeah. Well, we knew he load managed then. Nobody's questioning that, but it wasn't as big an issue then. Now, after that, but no, I thought you were saying like why Leonard's out now. Why is nobody upset about that, but everyone's upset about Embiid?
No, I do think Kawhi Leonard is actually hurt now, so I agree with you. I was talking about why weren't we talking about this the year that they won the title in Toronto? Because it's the same coach. Nick Nurse did this in Toronto, and now he's doing the same thing, and everyone's up in arms. Like, well, where was the investigation when Kawhi did it?
Well, I think that's why it's such an issue now, because of what happened with Kawhi, right? Like, I think 2019 put the issue front and center on the map. Like, when did the rules start? 2 years ago?
Well, the first rule was a long time ago when the Spurs didn't send like Duncan, Ginobili, and somebody else to a game in Miami. And I think even David Stern was still the commissioner. He freaked out and like instituted fines for missing stuff like that.
He put in the DMP
old. Right. Did not play, and then the designation was old. Yeah, that was Greg Popovich. So sort of being a jerk.
Like that happened before this network was alive. So that was like 15 years ago.
Wasn't there just a huge load management rule? I heard them talking about the details yesterday. They're wild.
So that's happened. That went into effect before last year when you had to play, 65 games to be eligible for any award.
And I think they were doing it because, again, not to get too nerdy, but there was this big media rights deal. They were trying to renegotiate with all the networks, and they needed these guys to play to look as good as possible for the network.
And Maggie, you asked a question about why we didn't care so much about 2019. I mean, Perloff asked it. I think some of that may be because we've seen this work. Like, so with Kawhi Leonard, he won a championship with the Spurs. He wasn't low managed back then. He was younger. But those other guys low managed, and they won the title. So this is a champion going to a team that hasn't won before, and they're using this strategy. I think we were like, well, I mean, he's a champion. He's kind of earned that right. Embiid hasn't earned anything.
We also saw Embiid play basketball in July, and then he got to September, October, like, oh, he's not ready to play, so no preseason and now no first week of the regular season.
It just feels egregious to be like, before the season starts, I'm playing no back-to-back, and you don't play opening night. I think
it's ridiculous.
I know the Spurs stuff has been bad, the Kawhi stuff has been bad. I'm not trying to defend that, but this just seems a level of like, what is actually going on here?
They've done a bad job on the PR front. Like they should just, they should have emphasized the injury part a little more.
Yeah, just say he's hurt, which I think he is.
Oh, the Sixers doing a bad job on PR.
I think he didn't play in the preseason, so he couldn't quote unquote ramp up.
Yeah, and I think it's probably because he's recovering from an injury. I think they don't want people to freak out that he's still recovering from an injury.
I think there's also this underlying issue of his weight that keeps on coming up. Like, is this guy is an MVP, he's supposed to be the most dedicated guy, then why can't he be like LeBron and pay $1 million to lose all the body fat?
Why did they just give him $200 million?
I mean, come on, it's the NBA. I mean, it's one of the great bargains in the league. Yeah. They just who isn't getting $200 million? The backup shooting guard on Bogus's Brooklyn Nets gets $200 million.
And they're also still, at least maybe me being naive, like there still is a tiny window here for them to be doing what is actually necessary for him. Because, again, if he misses this week so that he can play in April and May and June, then it's the right thing. Like there still is logic to load management.
Totally.
The timing of it was often off, which is why the league got pissed off, where guys are missing games they shouldn't be missing or whatever. And I get the need for them to play and be on the floor, especially for road games where, fans want to see LeBron, they want to see Embiid, and this is their only chance to do it. But like that to me has always been the pushback to anything to limit it, affect it. Is like, but it makes sense to be careful with guys.
Right, but I think opening night's egregious. That's over the top. Load management opening night.
Well, that's why I think they said he's not going to play the whole week to make it seem that it wasn't just opening night.
I don't know if you guys saw this. My social media timeline was all NFL and college football writers dunking on basketball, being like, this is why your sport is falling in popularity and we're awesome. Because the fact that you'd have a star load manage the opening night of the season.
That's not on my timeline, but
my
time. There was only 17 games. I'm sure they'd all play them.
Well, I mean, I do think there's something to this. Like the NBA season is just too long. It's just way too long.
If any of those college football or NFL writers, you can maybe say that for now. I'm not so sure that load management is not coming to football. And I've already advocated for Aaron Rodgers not to play that game in London, and I was almost proven right in that game.
What do you mean?
He got banged up in the game and left, and then actually did come back and looked fine. If I were the Jets, I wouldn't play Aaron Rodgers this weekend. He's got a hamstring issue and something else. They're playing the New England Patriots.
They're 2-5.
Rodgers will not. This is the one game he will play. Play him this game. He wants that guy.
You got to play him today.
Yeah. Against the Patriots, that's the one game you do play him. Load manage him the following week.
Okay, or college football. We talked about should Travis Hunter play another snap in college football, considering the payday that's waiting for him at the end of the season.
I think we will see a load manage in the second Army-Navy game. I keep saying that. I think it's going to happen.
It's going to be weird, right?
It's going to be very bizarre because all the pageantry we usually have for the Army-Navy game it's not going to be there for the conference championship game.
The only thing about the Army-Navy game, though, is that besides the quarterbacks, and unless you're really diehard, how well do you know the depth chart for the service academies? It's not exactly Alabama and Ohio State. As far as the depth chart, I'm not saying the pageantry, I'm not saying the history, just
everybody
we know
knows
the guys who are the future NFL guys.
Right. College football has always had an issue with service academies going undefeated and playing the conference title game and then therefore watering down the Army. This is the biggest fluke of all time. The NBA, this is the average year. I can't believe you're still the NBA put out its prime time game last night, and it was the Bucks and the Sixers, and you saw Andre Drummond and Eric Gordon throwing up shots. That was a terrible product.
But Paul George got injured. So that's the thing we got to do,
Of course he did. He's 35.
No, but we're saying this is a terrible product. It's Paul George got injured. He wasn't going to play. It's not, we're holding him because he got hurt.
Do you know why they brought in the in-season tournament, EJ, the one that you love? Is because they know the season is too long and the teams can't possibly take this thing seriously for 82 games. It's just way too long.
No, I don't disagree that it's too long. But my point, though, is when we say, that was a terrible product out there, we got to say what's load management and what's a guy hurt. Okay, again, if Paul George got injured last week, there was no plan to sit him out.
But it wasn't.
They can't control that.
It was that Embiid wasn't out there.
Well, yeah, but when we say the Sixers had a G League roster, it implies because they had multiple guys out. One of the guys got injured. The other guy is recovering from knee surgery. We don't know what his deal is. One thing I did want to ask you guys, though, is KG said that he feels like this kind of eliminates any conversation about comparing errors anymore. Because he's like, if you have a guy that's MVP caliber player who's saying in the prime of his career, I'm not playing back-to-back games anymore, then how can you ever compare him to Shaq playing 82 games or Kareem playing 82 games? He was like, this should just end. We shouldn't even have generational discussions anymore because the sport is different, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's Kevin Garnett who said that, but then you could say to Kevin Garnett, well, then we shouldn't even be talking about the you guys versus the guys from the 50s and 60s who couldn't fly private and didn't have the trainers, and maybe they're actually better because they had to sit middle seat, cross-country flights. You know what I'm saying?
I guess, but there's a difference,
those guys
though.
Played 82 games also, and they didn't have any of the creature comforts that
Smoking
the guys
cigarettes.
in the 2000s did.
I know.
Yeah.
Eating steak.
Until about the year 1968, nobody even realized you could dribble with your left hand as well as your right hand. Look at an old video of Bob Cousy.
One of my favorite old-time stories is Rick Barry saying that, we talk about nutrition and how it's changed. He was like, you guys don't understand. When we played before games, we were eating steak. We were having 14-ounce porterhouses and then going and playing 40 minutes a night. Could you imagine having that sit in your stomach and then you got to go guard Earl Monroe or something for 40 minutes?
Well, now it's all pasta, right? Pasta and chicken parmesan, I feel like.
They do a really good job. They have fruit out and they really drum up the nutrition for these guys, and back then this guy's like, oh, give me a 14-ounce porterhouse.
Well, I think
no water.
I think a big difference with the 90s, if you ever look at the steroids that were running rampant in the NBA, the players were triple the size. I don't know how that would match up. They probably wouldn't be effective in today's game. But remember, like Oakley and Mason and all those guys, they were all giants around the court. Now everybody is a 6'5" wing guard. I mean, Caleb Martin's a 4-man in today's NBA, and he's weighs 198 pounds. Anyway, you're right. You can't compare them. I'm hearing a lot. It does feel like underneath it all, you know what the one issue underneath that 82 games is?
What's that?
Michael Jordan played 82 games. I keep on, that keeps on coming up. Jordan played 82 games.
A lot of guys did.
Yeah, I know. But it gets into the LeBron Jordan thing. The funny thing is LeBron looks like he wants to play 82 games. He doesn't seem that interested in load management.
I mean, LeBron did have an 82-game season not that long ago.
3 years ago. And also he's complaining about this in the documentary on Netflix about his life. He keeps complaining about the minutes thing.
Yeah, he wants to play more minutes. That's the big thing you find on the documentary is that they basically have to put a seatbelt on him on the sidelines.
I mean, I think it's actually. I think we should praise LeBron. He really wants to be out there. He does not seem this load management thing's kind of weak. I'm sorry. I'm venting now because it's my team, but I generally have thought that like the league is just watered down because of load management. It's a huge problem, and the NBA's fines are not serious. No team is scared of the league right now.
I think that's the biggest issue with it. The salaries keep going up, and the amount of games keep going down. That's not a good recipe.
And they did this TV deal where they're going to have streaming only games. It's so funny because Mark Cuban said the NFL was getting greedy and it was going to water down the product and the NFL was going to basically go away in 10 years. And now the NBA is greedy, and I think that there's just something wrong with it.
Well, Mark Cuban sold the Mavericks. I mean, he obviously saw the writing on the wall. He didn't get all those billions by being dumb.
I think there's also a real conversation about these athletes are more brittle. And Pearl just talking about how Oakley and Mason, like they could have played on the opposite line for the Giants. Like these are brittle athletes. They're playing like all year round from the age of 11 up until college, and then they're going to the NBA. These guys are getting early injuries, Achilles injuries. I saw James Wiseman. I think he might have been a calf, but it might have been an Achilles last night. He's 22 years old. How are you getting these serious injuries this early in your career? You've seen it in high school all the time. I think these athletes also are less durable, which is why some of you guys need load management.
Yeah.
Folks, anything else, sir?
Liberty football is no longer unbeaten, probably no longer capable of earning the Group of 5 spot in the college football playoff after a shock loss last night. The Flames falling at Kennesaw State 27-24 despite being a 27-point favorite. The Owls hadn't beaten FBS schools since moving up from FCS 2 years ago, and NC State QB Grayson McCall is retiring after his latest on-field head injury. The Coastal Carolina transfer says he wants to coach now. Guys, back to you.
Bogus, thanks so much. Okay, lots to do here. See you guys on the phones. It was really José Canseco's question, not ours, but it caught our eyes and ears. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded. You're down by 3. Who do you want at the plate? Got some good picks here. We'll tell you about them next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Tough morning, we got you. It's Maggie and Perloff.
The Dependable Player of the Week is sponsored by Depend and the Prostate Cancer Foundation, reminding you that health is a long game and screening for prostate cancer is easier than ever. Learn more at depend.com. Who picked this one, Ryan or EJ? EJ, the Dependable Player of the Week. Whew, oh, boy. Something basketball.
No. We've only had 2 days of basketball. It's got to be football.
Is it someone from that upset yesterday, Kennesaw State over Liberty? Maybe.
So, wait, that's unfair.
What?
I don't know anyone on the Kennesaw
guys?
State roster.
Kennesaw State on the field.
I'll take your guess. Russell Wilson.
No, we're going to go basketball here.
I think it's basketball.
Okay, so it's
give
a
me
dependable
guess.
player of the last
I know
48
who it
hours.
is.
Okay, who you got?
Dame Lillard.
Okay, what's your guess, bro?
Basketball? Maybe go back to opening night.
It's not going to be a Celtic.
Nah, you know I'm not doing that.
So I will go with Rui Hachimura.
All right, so the interesting. Okay, the defendable. I love him. He's a zag. He's a zag. I love him, but no. The defendable player of the week this week is Paolo Banchero, who was plus 42 in the Magic's blowout win at the Heat. He had 33 points, 11 rebounds, and I think there's a player who really staked his claim as a guy who really, really may break out. I thought Banchero was just a monster yesterday.
That's a good one. We're asking you, and actually it was José Canseco really asked this one on Twitter, which was bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. You're down by 3. Who do you want at the plate? Eric is in Boise. He's got a good one that we did not mention yet. Eric, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys?
We're great.
So it's got to be Bernie Williams. Yeah. He's got the most postseason home runs in Yankee history for now. But switch hitter, lefty-righty doesn't matter. And not that this is part of the question, but Gold Glove center fielder, you don't have to sub him out. it's him for sure.
22 postseason home runs and 80 RBIs.
Wait,
for
by the way,
Bernie
is that?
Williams.
I'm sorry, both of you. Is that the most World Series home runs or the most postseason home runs? I think it's
postseason.
Postseason home runs. I thought you said World Series because other guys had more World Series home runs because Bernie had like 8 rounds of playoffs to play. So that's the only reason his numbers are so big. Like he's got more clutch than Yogi Berra and Mickey Mantle and those guys. That's all I'm saying. They had a lot more playoff games. That's why he has all those
That's true,
records.
but he's got a lot of World Series home runs too.
Does he?
Yes, he
I'm
does.
actually curious. Who has the most World Series home runs?
Well, I mean, we'd have to do a little research on that. He's got, yeah. Bernie was amazing in the postseason. I would have to look it up. But, Eric, I think it's great. We'll get the numbers for you on that one, on Bernie's World Series home runs.
Mickey Mantle has 18. Ruth has 15. That's a lot of Yankees, of course. The most, the active leader is George Springer with 7.
But he said Yankees, right?
Yeah, so
but there's a ton of Yankees ahead of him.
Sure. Okay.
Bernie has 5 career World Series home runs.
Right.
So Reggie Jackson has 10.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mantle has 18. Jeez Louise. It's a lot of World Series home runs.
It is. Speaking of the World Series, I don't know if you guys have caught this story, and maybe we shouldn't be surprised. I saw a headline that the World Series tickets have reached Taylor Swift levels.
Yeah.
So that's when you know it's serious. Right now, between the Yankees and the Dodgers, the average ticket price is hovering around $1,703 on the secondary market.
Yeah, there's our buddy Arash Markazi had a big report. You can't get into Dodger Stadium for under $1,000 anymore. Now, there was a report yesterday that the prices came down a little bit overnight, but it's still going to cost you. I think this is the one ticket that is worth, because when's the last time we had a World Series? Not only is the Yankees Dodgers that we've gotten like the Michael Jordan of the sport, Shohei Ohtani, like the singular star. That hasn't happened since really Bonds in 2004. To me, this is to see him in the World Series is worth the money. I think it's going to be something you tell your grandkids about.
So the record highs specifically for Game 3, which would be the first game in New York. Yankees haven't been to the World Series in 15 years, obviously. The standing room only ticket, $1,476. The cheapest physical seat ticket, $1,790.
Would you guys?
Would you pay it?
I mean, I think this is like history unfolding here. This is really cool.
So even if you're all the way upper deck, just get in the building.
Get in the building, say, I saw Shohei play in his first World Series game. I think it's a big deal. I mean, I think he's going to win 8 MVPs before he retires, go down as the player of our era.
Okay, so here's the question I always have with these kinds of things. You know, you root for the Dodgers or you root for the Yankees. You kind of expect to be in a lot of these big games. I'm not saying you can, it's not a given. Obviously, the Yankees haven't been there in a long, long time. But do you shell out this kind of money because don't you think your team's going to be back? Like, I think about my team. If the Bills made it to the Super Bowl, do you realize the ticket price for that, I think, would be massive because there's been so many people who've been waiting for them to get back since the freaking early 90s. It's rare. Like, if you are a diehard Yankee fan and you're at least 30, you've seen World Series. Odds are you've been already to a couple really big playoff games. I would think.
I just think, and Perloff always says Major League Baseball playoffs is such a crapshoot.
Yeah, I mean, the
think
Dodgers
to do that now would be risky.
Yeah, I don't feel like the Dodgers have that kind of confidence. I know they made it in the pandemic, but I feel like they're like
they win the division every single year.
Yeah,
You're watching playoff games no matter what.
They don't feel like a given to make the World Series ever. I don't think a lot of people even picked them this year.
They have Shohei now. Like, if you're not going to win now, and I know he was on the Angels and they didn't win squad, but
I mean, this
got him
is
for 10 years, guys.
They had the best record in the baseball this year, right? And this is their worst year in a long time. They struggled more than normal. Did they win 108 games one year and they didn't do anything in the playoffs? So no, I don't feel that way at all. I feel like
when the Cubs were in the World Series, when the Red Sox were in the World Series in 2004, like these are tickets I would think that would be so expensive because you've been waiting generations to get in.
I feel like the market also has a lot to do with this.
Oh, sure.
Like, LA, New York. Yeah. Like, if this was the Pittsburgh Pirates, the tickets would be expensive, but not like this.
I think that, to me, and maybe I'm wrong, I just think this is like, he's so huge to the sport. I think he's so singular in his popularity and his unusualness. And
yeah, well, he's not going to be pitching as far as we know unless they pull some kind of fun surprise on us, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't even think he honestly, to me, is the Michael Jordan of the sport, the Caitlin Clark of the sport. So I feel like, imagine if Caitlin Clark was in the WNBA Finals, it would up the price that much. Maybe I'm overestimating him. And obviously, there's the Yankees factor as well, a very popular team, New York. But I think particularly to say, there's no guarantee that he'll ever make it back. Like, this is baseball. Last year it was the Diamondbacks, Maggie.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
$1,790 for a seat for Game 3. Ryan, you're shaking your head.
No way. I'd rather sit at home and watch it.
I mean,
If I'm
sports is
standing room?
awesome on TV, but if you're watching history, you want to be in the building, no?
It's standing room. You're in the back. Probably dead center
Someone
field.
walk back and forth to the bar and bathroom all night. That's the best way to do it.
You know, the funny part of this is, Ryan, we know you. You're not anti seeing things in person because you see live music all the time.
Oh, yeah, but this is different for me. I would never pay $1,700 to sit last row when I could, I don't know, enjoy the moment with friends and family at like a bar or somewhere else where it's the same thing.
What about the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl is different because it's one game and how is
it different? It's a championship.
celebration. There could be a chance for 7 games in the World Series, so you can see history almost every other night.
God, I don't feel that way at all. I feel like it's like the Super Bowl in the sense that the championship's on the line. They're not getting bigger than this, dude.
I feel like you can get a 9-0 game where
that's true.
Someone rolls over another team and half the crowd's dead, and you wasted $1,700 to see your favorite team lose.
Well, that can certainly happen to you in the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, but at least it's the final game. This could happen. It could be 9-0 Game 4, and it's like, well, what did we learn here? It's like, well, got to get the momentum back. I don't know. I get it. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you, Ryan Botcher, Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Guido's Coffee Drinkers. Be back tomorrow to finish out the week strong. Later.